Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, irritating the entire planet all at once. And with me today is a special guest, Mr. Percy Tyrone Beard.
Hey, man.
How are you? Oh, I gotta make you wider.
Whiter?
No,
it's wider, not whiter. I'm not sure.
No, nothing could make you whiter than you are.
No.
No, I've got and I'm like a good pie or whatever. This is gonna be weird. I'm moving you around on the screen, but you can't see it. Only the chat can. We've got to get optimal angles here.
Yes, well, this is my good side. So.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. We've got it. How are you doing today, man?
Well, I've had a pretty good day. By the way, you're a small but prestigious law firm.
A small but prestigious, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
World-renowned law firm in central Minnesota. So I got, I should tell you, I got a text message from a law school classmate and a friend of mine today.
Oh.
And he called me a slur of sorts, but that's okay. I'll forgive him for his indiscretions. And he attached with it a picture from the Minnesota Lawyer.
Ooh.
And the Minnesota Lawyer is a publication. And the picture was a picture of their article talking about how I apparently created an online hate mob. And it had as its feature was the picture of me, you, and Vic at Anime Matsuri smoking cigars.
Yes.
And he says to me, he's like, one of my friends sent me this picture, saying it reminded him that he and his friend needed to get cigars. And he says, I know that motherfucker.
Oh, that's funny.
So he had to send me a text and be like, what is happening?
Did you tell him that you have not forgotten the little people, though?
It's great. That reminds me that I need to go have a cigar with him. So
there you go.
That's on my short list of things to do. But it was good times. So let's talk about this. How the show is going to work today, guys. We have Ty for an hour and a half.
You'll notice the lack of bright orange cords.
Yeah, he's cut down to one cord.
Yeah,
he's a cord cutter.
Cord cutter, yeah.
You got your one.
This is a gift, actually, from someone.
Listen, we boomers need to stick together with one cord.
Darn Skippy, bucko.
I can't.
Skippy.
That Bluetooth garbage, I don't trust that at all.
Oh no.
That's like a remote that's not attached to the TV by a 30-foot cable. I don't believe in it.
Right, yeah, that's crazy talk. Yeah, I heard that thieves are now going from car to car scanning for Bluetooth. So if you leave your device in your car and you hide it under newspapers, well, not newspapers because those are whatever, they still can break in your car and get your gear, which is another reason I don't like Bluetooth. So
if unironically, if I were stealing from a car and I looked inside it and I saw newspapers, I go, oh, this guy's like 100 years old. There's nothing in here. And I just move on. I just move on. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the ruling today. That's the big news of the day. We're going to go through any super chats that are outstanding as we can. When we're coming up to that hour and a half limit, we're going to go through them, and then we will dismiss Mr. Beard, and then I will pull up the ruling. And we can actually read through it. And if we have time, I will pull up the supplemental brief filed by Lemoyne today prior to the ruling coming out. Can you indulge me in one thing, Ty?
Of course.
I have to. There's a tweet I want to show people. I want to show people this tweet because I think it's funny. and that's how I determine what goes on the show.
Of course.
I don't know if you guys know, because you're unfortunately you're the masses that Jay Sean Lemoyne hates. Okay, there's a group of people that Jay Sean Lemoyne hates. It's people who can breathe, people who can walk, and people who aren't super butthurt on Twitter. All combined, he hates them collectively, which I think makes most of you candidates. So you may not get to see Lemoyne's tweets, but thankfully I have an army of faithful incels who pass them along to me. So I have to block out Ty for just a second for this, and I apologize to that, but you guys need to see this series of tweets. Did I do it right? Oh yeah, there we go. So Alan Rawls. Hey, Alan Rawls, not a lawyer, Alan Rawls. Do you remember yourself? Yes, not a lawyer, Alan Rawls, who not only deigned to look up my grandfather's will and post it on the internet.
Oh, is he the walking vermin that did that?
But in an embarrassing display, showed just how bad he was at reading it by drawing every wrong conclusion possible.
Oh, is this that law student who needs to call his mother and tell her he will never be a lawyer?
Well, he just better bone up on wills and trusts before going into the bar exam. Okay. But Alan, so Alan is very sad. Alan says, the garbage human beings who got Vic on the hook for thousands of dollars, that's a cute spin, Alan, and nuked what was left of his reputation, will be doing a show tonight. Alan, do you remember what I told the defendants at the beginning of this? You can't afford it. And then
I seem to recall people standing in line for 4 hours plus to see Vic very recently.
Well, I mean, we're not even gonna talk about that.
Doesn't really sound like he's been destroyed, Alan.
And it sounds like, I mean, those very important tweets that the very important defendants decided to put out, looks like they may have cost them a lot of money, which I want to talk to you about in a little bit. Okay, and nuked what was left of his reputation will be doing a show tonight. We do a show just about every night, buddy. At Whipple Mark, will you have the time, patience, and energy to do your hilarious live tweeting? Oh man, it must be cool to talk to 30 people.
Live tweeting.
Waller Legal says, save us Whipple Mark Canopal, which I think is an Obi-Wan Kenobi joke. You're our only hope. I don't know. Their nerding isn't even good. And then this is the crowning tweet here. Look at Jay Sean. Don't do it. Just ignore it. Please. Please ignore it, because it's devastating to me.
You know, at the ending of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when the French are found to be in the final castle, and they're dumping and they're yelling and they're hurling down insults, and they even dump sewage on Arthur at Bedivere as they're walking away. Arthur's going, just ignore them. Don't say anything. Just ignore them.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I, for some reason, that evokes that.
Well, I hope they're ready to not get bullied. Because they won't get bullied on this show, but they will get mocked.
But at least it will be mockery at a very high level. You know, I mean, there's should take some comfort in that.
Oh boy!
I
okay.
believe I said all along that you probably shouldn't be spiking the football. I think I said that.
Now, did you? So let's talk about the ruling. Did you win the case today, Ty?
No.
No. Of course not.
Of course not.
A summary of the ruling. Here's a summary of the numbers, and I'll show you the detailed view of the numbers. Is every defendant, except for Jamie Markey, and there's a specific reason, was awarded $50,000 in legal fees. That means correct. Monica Rial was awarded $50,000. Ron Toye was awarded $50,000. Funimation was awarded $50,000, and then Jamie Markey was awarded roughly $48,000. You know, whatever she actually asked for, right. Very specifically.
That was Sam's specific amount that he did with his success premium of $100 an hour tacked onto that.
Yep. So that's what they requested. That's what they got, and then the others were hedge trimmed right down to $50,000 each. Then On top of that is sanctions, and this is the really dangerous part because sanctions have to be sufficient to deter a filing of a similar lawsuit. And there are all sorts of ways that trial court judges can determine what that is. And Lemoyne had argued for severe sanctions based on the fact of the GoFundMe, suggesting that that the GoFundMe had reduced or eliminated or nullified any pain Vic might have suffered in filing a lawsuit, and presumably implying that he would file endless frivolous lawsuits because of the GoFundMe, which is just patently ridiculous. But that was his argument. Each party was awarded. Well, actually, this isn't true. Jamie Markey was awarded $5,000 in sanctions. Funimation was awarded $5,000 in sanctions, and Monica Rial was awarded $2,500 in sanctions, and Toye was awarded $2,500 in sanctions for a combined total of $5,000 in sanctions. So, $15,000 in sanctions amongst all of them, and then of course a roughly $15,000 in overall filing fees. Is that pretty close, somewhere in there?
So yeah. The costs.
Right, costs and fees. Costs, yeah. So you've got costs of the deposition transcripts. You've got costs of various fees that they paid and stuff like that. So they had to prove those up and all of that. But that's where it ends up. So on the total amount of somewhere around $230,000. Now that's assuming there are no appeals and nothing changes on the appeal. Right. So then there were some contingent fees awarded, and those are really weird to me. The idea of a contingent fee, if you appeal, you're going to be awarded this much.
We'll be taking a very close appeals look at that. I suspect that we'll be adding that to our appeal.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
So the idea with those is to, I guess, deter an appeal. Which is weird.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the rationale was, because the court didn't really say. But I would imagine that the defendants will be appealing the fees and sanctions. I mean,
that'd be very interesting. But
yeah, I don't have a high I wouldn't predict a high probability of success. Sanctions in particular are so completely within the court's discretion that
courts have upheld $0 sanctions. They've upheld very minimal dollar sanctions. Even Lemoyne was forced to admit through his straining bronchials that the courts have upheld $100 sanction in these types of cases. So the appeal has been filed. The appeal was actually filed probably early, but as a precautionary tale, because I noticed that
it's unknown. Even the court seemed to indicate in the previous hearing that their order was ambiguous, and we didn't want to take any chances, so we just filed it when we filed it.
Yep, and I think Lemoyne kind of tipped his hand at that hearing. He had an exchange with the judge where he indicated, I think without intending to, that he planned on arguing that if you had waited to file, that you could only appeal the fee award and not appeal the overall ruling because you were late on it. He had a specific line in there that said, well, at least they could appeal the fees, like that.
And the judge wouldn't have any part of it. He recognized that it was a prudent thing for us to file it when we did. And so, I thought all along it was unwise of them to, grandstand about that.
Yeah, but that's the ruling. So they went from requesting as a refresher. Lemoyne had requested roughly what, 280,000.
Yeah, I believe they requested additional fees in the hearing itself, and you'll have to look at the transcript because I don't remember what the amounts were, but they were probably 10 or 15,000 more. Both them and Funimation. I don't think Sam actually did. I don't remember. So yeah. I mean, there's no way around it. This had to be a heavy disappointment for them.
Right. One of the things that they've been saying for several months was that the defendants weren't going to have to pay anything because Vic was going to have to pay all of their legal fees.
Well, given that Mr. Lemoyne testified, so did Sam, but Sam's statement is academic. Mr. Lemoyne testified that he would go after Rial and Toy for fees that weren't awarded by the court.
That's only if he's not a liar.
Right.
Now, I would never expect you to throw shade on a Texas attorney, but I will suggest that maybe
don't push me too hard, Nick. I appreciate I appreciate the compliment, but I am at the end of the day only a man and only human.
Well,
and I have to admit it was difficult. It was difficult to remember my own advice, which is don't spike the football. Don't be gracious in victory and so forth and so on. That's much easier to tell other people.
And I think right now the defendants are learning something that you said back at the original ruling. You keep saying don't spike the football, and the reason you don't spike the football is because even at that time, the event, the case, this is a process that takes a long, long time, and to pretend that gets over at any particular stage is ridiculous.
Well, it is. It's sometimes it's very tempting when you have an early victory in a case. It's very tempting to decide that your victory is because you were a brilliant advocate, and because the judge totally agrees with you on everything. That's human, but experienced litigators guard against that. I think it's very obvious at this point that the judge is just doing his job. We don't, we disagree strongly, obviously, with the first hearing, but he hasn't, he doesn't seem to have his thumb on the scale or anything. And to the extent the other side might have been counting on that, that was unwise of them. It's academic to us because we feel like we're going to prevail on appeal, and it doesn't matter anyway. Really doesn't matter what was awarded, but at the very least this might help the other side get maybe a tad more realistic about the stakes.
Right. The and the interesting thing is, so how this works, guys, is you either pay your lawyer or you don't throughout the process, depending on your arrangement with them, and then when you get awarded fees, they have to collect those fees. Well, when there's an appeal, there's no rule that says that those fees are collected prior to appeal.
No, of course not. They're not bonded either.
There's an appeal bond that needs to be, it's called a supersedious bond, I believe. And that needs to be posted for certain amounts to go into appeal. As far as I can tell, and I've seemed to have confirmed this with a couple different attorneys, not even just you, by the way.
You mean you're sleeping? You're talking around with other lawyers?
Listen,
I thought we were exclusive.
Well, I was still offended by a lack of a Christmas card.
Well, what are you gonna do?
But the supersedious bond in TCPA cases covers only the costs, not the attorney's fees, not the sanctions, but the costs associated with actual conduct of the lawsuit. So in this case, the worst case supersedious bond would be somewhere around that $15,000 number for the fees, and we'll get the exact number when Ty is gone.
And I doubt seriously we'll bother bonding that. We'll probably just ask the court to accept that amount in its registry and be done with it. But I remember one of the defendants tweeting something out right after the hearing that they were looking forward to getting paid. Well,
Well,
your lawyer's going to get paid.
That was misplaced.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is the way judgments work is a judgment is a piece of paper. And that piece of paper is enforceable. It's not enforced. And so the person who has the piece of paper has to pursue collection of the fees, of the amounts on their own. So while this is going on, the reality is that Vic hasn't paid anyone else's fees And depending on how they conduct their collection efforts, who knows if he will do that in any short amount of time. That'll be a whole different discussion.
Yeah,
but,
he won't be paying anything until after the appeal. I mean,
right.
Other than the costs. So.
And so these guys are going to have to go through the appeal in order to even have that enforceable judgment ready to enforce. And in the meanwhile, either their clients are actually paying them or they're not. And if the clients are paying them, then the clients are feeling a massive sting about now. And if the clients are, because they thought they were going to apparently get all their money back plus some. And if the clients are not paying them, then the lawyers are feeling a massive sting right about now. And it is our duty to work on cases when we are not getting paid, but it is not the most fun thing in the world to do so.
Well, and again, another thing you don't want to do is be going to a partners meeting explaining how, you got a 65% haircut in a case that you engaged in a great deal of activity that I would contend was unnecessary, but we'll see. The point is there was a lot of activity and a lot of it initiated by the lawyer in question. So this could not have been a real good day on the other side.
Right.
For us, it was a good day in the sense that we didn't have to deal with the nah, if the judge had given them everything they'd asked for. But we talked about this last time I was on your show. The judge was very skeptical of the fees, and there were some serious technical problems with the bills that they submitted.
Right.
Of course, my team did an awesome job. I have nothing but high praise for everyone. The Amazons, my boys in Fort Worth. I think I'm gonna start calling them the boys in Fort Worth, BOYZ.
Do BOIZ.
BOIZ. Okay, yeah. the boys in the fort, something. But anyway, so we did my team did a great job taking those bills apart and really exposing some of what we thought were some of the serious issues with them. The sanctions part, I believe that would be Vic. I think Vic's testimony was devastating.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think I think the tweet I just showed you from Alan Rawls is indicative of how far out of touch these people are with the reality of the situation. They think because they live in this neat little bubble called Law Twitter, and they've never heard of an anime guy. And then what they hear about an anime guy is informed and skewed in one particular way, based on all sorts of silly things. So they think that he must be worse off now than he would have otherwise been, because to them, he is worse off, because they went from never hearing about him before in their lives to hearing that he is this bad person. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing, though, is people who do interact with Vic and who know Vic, the collective opinion, I believe, has largely improved.
Yeah, there's no question.
So
when he started fighting back, people began to rally around him. Conventions began to reconsider their opinion and so forth and so on. The idea that he would have been better off by just letting them destroy him takes a particular amount of utter delusion that isn't going to serve you well in the real practice of law, young law student.
Right. And this goes, I think, to where I was coming from with this is you mentioned Vic on the stand really did damage to their sanctions claim.
That was as good a testimony I've never seen a witness do better, personally, in my opinion. Now, take that, obviously I'm biased, so I can't be wholly objective, but it was every bit as impressive as his deposition.
Right. And the interesting thing, of course, is many of those people thought Vic did poorly at deposition. One, because they're reading black and white words. They didn't watch the deposition. If they did watch
you got to watch it to see the actual effect, but yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, and if they did watch it, they had a preconceived bias against Vic already, which as lawyers was a really terrible thing to do for them, because they were taking their animus towards me, which is well deserved. I think they're all morons and actually
harsh
terrible
but fair.
people.
Yeah.
So they could take their animus towards me and have they've been doing this the whole time, and impose that upon Vic, which is a terrible position if you're trying to be objective, which I know that they're not. I, of course, have never once claimed to be objective on this at all.
Nope.
Horrifically biased. But so what they thought was that Vic in deposition was bad for Vic, which it's actually really been the opposite, guys. And then they thought that Vic on the stand would be and was bad for Vic because you're bad people and you don't understand how public perception works. But on the stand, Vic was a sympathetic character to a judge who had never met him and is a little bit better at objectivity than you guys are. And the interesting thing is the judge got to watch a wheezy idiot of a lawyer rasp and flail and shriek at a nice, composed man expressing the pain that he went through on the stand in front of him. He got to watch in real time someone try to bully a guy whose career and life have been turned upside down and fail at it. If you don't think that was going to be beneficial for Vic, then you just really shouldn't be talking about these things. You don't have any idea how humans work.
Without casting aspersions on anyone on the other side, because I, of course, would not want to do that. I will say this. Assuming arguendo that your characterization of the cross-examination is that it was bullying. Here's the thing. Know that they're bullies. I just lost you for a second. But
yeah, I got you back, though. What did you say? Here, you said, here's the thing.
Yeah, bullies don't know they're bullies most of the time.
Sure.
You know, and the thing is, it's real tempting to want to go after a witness in a hearing or worse yet in front of a jury. But you have to understand that the game is already rigged in favor of the witness. Everyone knows that the witness is sitting in that box by themselves. Okay, the witness gets in the box and has a certain degree of he already has the empathy edge, right? And really good litigators will often do things like start out really nice. Well, tell me a little bit about this. You know, oh, that's interesting, and then they'll catch them at they'll get them comfortable. They'll take the jury's or the judge's anxiety down a little bit, and then they'll pounce. But coming out hard at somebody just right out of the chute in front of a jury or in front of a judge in a hearing is, in my opinion, unwise, and it's especially unwise with a sympathetic figure like Vic. And they really don't have anybody to blame but themselves for that, because you had 5 hours of deposition testimony to watch him. You know,
right.
we gave them a priceless gift by putting, I say we gave it to them. They got a priceless gift by videoing his deposition. They should have known exactly how he was going to be on the stand based on his deposition testimony. And I'm sorry, if I walked in thinking he was going to be that same guy, going after him hard would not have been my approach. I wouldn't have called him if I had been them. I mean, that's, it's a tough sell to make him a bad guy in this when you've got the numerous open statements that your clients have made. I mean, there's no dispute over, right?
Right.
I guess, to some degree, I applaud the audacity of it, but I'd be curious if co-counsel thinks it was such a great idea.
I also tried to tell them that putting Vic on the stand was a mistake.
Well, we were going to do that anyway, but by them calling him, it made it so much easier.
Right. If they would have, again, if they could have divorced themselves from their pre-existing bias, which the interesting thing about knowing and admitting your bias is sometimes you're able to step back from it and observe the weaknesses if you specifically guard against your bias. If they had put away their bias for a minute and looked at the videos of Vic, the deposition of Vic, the deposition of Monica, and the deposition of Ron, and read through the comments, and then quickly gotten out of their mind that the people watching those videos and commenting were all just fans of me, supporting me, they would look at the number of video replays on those depositions and realize they are higher than my subscriber count by a substantial margin. There are a large number of people outside of my audience that watched those depositions and came to the same conclusions. But when you've got the myopia going on, you can't do that. And if they had done that, they would have said, Vic is really good at deposition. Vic is really good being cross-examined. Because Vic talks to people as part of his job. When he goes around, he sits there for hours in a high-pressure environment where you're on. And if you ever get the pleasure to meet up with him at a convention and maybe catch him after a convention, you will see the decompression from being on for a period of 8 to 10 hours during the day, and just how much it's work. It's work to do that.
Yeah. Well, Monica was very poised in her deposition, I thought. So some of the vocational training that Vic and Monica both have showed. Vic, I think
she's poised, but let me add that she's unlikable.
Right. I that seems to have been the general consensus, and but there's the other part of it too, that Vic was telling the truth. He didn't do it, and what has happened to him has been an utter travesty. And it was, the problem is that they won a technical victory at the first hearing. Great, good for them. That's fine. They tried to turn the technical victory into a moral victory, and I think that was a bridge too far for them. I think, of course, I got the advantage of hindsight, but for what it's worth, we had these conversations before this last hearing occurred. I wouldn't have run it this way. First of all, I never in a million years would have called Vic to the stand. There was almost no chance you were actually going to make him look unsympathetic. So I wouldn't have done that. We were so happy with Vic's performance that we didn't, our testimony rather, that we didn't call Rial and Toy to the stand in the hearing last time. We could have, and it was a contingent plan to do so, but frankly, there just wasn't any need to. I
think it would have been funny to call Casey Eric to the stand.
He wasn't there for some strange reason.
Weird. Must have been the same sickness that got Andrea Perez.
Yeah, we thought that was odd too. But whatever. No, it was it was a good day for us in the sense that it made our enemies, have a bad day. We ultimately feel like most of these fees are going to get overturned on appeal anyway, so it's academic. But no, we didn't. To circle back to your original question, of course not. We didn't win the case. I like to use football metaphors, as you know. I keep saying we're at halftime. I'm not even sure we're at halftime. We may actually only be at the end of the first quarter, and we're down 10-3. That's.
Oh yeah.
But we had a couple of goal line stands and made them, and made a punt. All right, goal line stands. We had a couple of third down stands, and they punted. The point is now everybody knows something that we've known all along. We're in for a real fight now.
Yeah.
There ain't gonna be any fast victories. And
here's the funny thing. There's some people out there gloating about the appeal increasing the fees. One, that's only if they prevail entirely on appeal.
And if we fail in getting that award, we're going to be appealing that award.
Right. But there's another thing to remember, though. That's still coming out of their pockets until they collect. Or it's not coming out of their pockets, and their lawyers are sitting there just eating cost.
And it may not be, those fees may not, that also operates as a cap, right?
Right. That's actually worse. If the appeal happens to cost more than that, or if they
even if they win, they're capped at that amount.
But the important part of that is that the fees still go up for them in proportion to their award. Like they still are having to they're not gaining something.
No,
they're at best they're breaking even on appeal.
This
is a shocking, I think, for them. I think for them this is a shocking blow. I believe that they thought they were doing much, much better than they were.
I think you're probably right. I don't think I'd have been anywhere near as sanguine about it if I had been them. I mean, you're going in and asking a judge for a substantial amount of legal fees on an issue that was originally designed to prevent this very thing, the expenditure of huge legal fees.
Right.
There's a built-in kind of duh in that. You should never count on anything like that. I mean, and I kind of feel like, based on the posturing that I saw, if you take it at face value, both the lawyers and the clients really believed that they were certain to get these things, and if so, that was very unwise, because ain't no certainty in litigation.
Yeah, I hope no one bought an Audi. That would be thinking that they were going to get paid on the fees. That would be a poor choice.
Well, yeah, and of course, like I said, this virtually everything that was awarded goes to the lawyers, not to the clients. So
yeah, so that's another problem.
Yeah.
They don't get to get paid and then ignore the lawyers. Typically, you're going to cut the check to the law firm. The law firm's going to take their cut, and then they will pass the remainder, whatever that may be. In this case, obviously, there will not be a remainder onto the client.
Well, no, I mean, you'd have to assume that, except for Sam, the sanction, the de minimis sanctions that were awarded would go to cover some of the unpaid legal expenses. So
you'd think so. You'd think so.
No, I mean, it's welcome back to the knife fight, guys. That would be my.
So there's one other little bit I would like to ask you about, just as a thought exercise, I guess. How in the heck is Lemoyne going to figure out between 3 different law firms who gets what out of that 50,000? Should they ever even get it, or 100,000, I guess?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that Lemoyne's firm was paid 80-something thousand already, and it's unclear as to where that money came from. I think it might have come from Kessler Collins, but I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's
so there's only about 15,000 or so left to be paid. Now, if you, I don't know how, I don't remember how it breaks out per rata, but you could be in this interesting position of the other law firms saying to Wick Phillips, well, you guys got a greater proportion of your fees paid, so give us back some of that money.
Well, and neither Casey
Which,
Eric,
good luck with that.
Right. But neither Casey Eric nor Andrea Perez work with Kessler Collins anymore.
Oh, I know, it gets messy.
So now we have 4 firms.
Yeah, when a lawyer leaves a firm, if he's a partner or something, typically they will buy their receivables and take them with them.
So that would apply to Casey Eric, but not to Andrea Perez, who was not a partner.
An associate. Yes, I mean, and I say typically. I mean, that's been my experience. Who knows? I mean, yeah, you really. I mean, it's messy from their perspective, and it'll be interesting. I mean, we'll never know, but I would hope that they would have worked out some kind of an equitable split. I mean, they're lawyers; they shouldn't have been, naive enough to think they were just guaranteed to get whatever they were asking for. And those things too. I mean, you go in knowing you're probably going to get cut down a little bit, 5%, 10%, something like that. So,
right.
But
well, they preemptively cut to try and mitigate the judge's cut. I think Lemoyne says he cut something like 19%, which to me means he padded it 25% so he could cut that 19.
Well, in any event, the court was just simply not willing to buy that it cost that much money to fight this thing for, less than 6 months. I mean, that
especially when the guy who objectively did the best of the defense charged the least by a clear mile.
And the court made that point quite clearly in the hearing.
It was it
was
not a great day.
Not for them, no. It was I mean, we're satisfied, but like I said, please don't anybody think that I'm dancing in the end zone going, yay, we won. We didn't win anything. We're
No, this was as I mentioned before, this is a frustrating time because the loss occurred at the TCPA hearing, and then this was just a quantification of the loss while we wait for appeal.
Here's the thing. We ain't going nowhere. There seems to have been a fair amount of wishful thinking among law Twitter and some of those folks that, somehow that hearing was the end of everything, and that I would disappear into the sunset. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I've heard several people suggest that you are going away and that Martinez Sue is going to take over.
No, I brought them in.
So that's a weird. That's a weird sort of.
They're my boys in Fort Worth. I mean, they're very good lawyers. I'm very glad to have them as part of the case. Something that there's no reason anybody would really know this about me. I love to bring in additional lawyers to cases and use them in areas where I think they'll be good. That's always been my style. I've been fortunate enough to build some really firm friendships with other law firms. And man, if I see something that I think somebody in another firm might do a little bit better or give us an edge on, I won't hesitate to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, you want a piece of this?" That cross-pollination does everybody good because they always bring in new perspectives. A lot of times it's good to bring people in the middle of something just because they don't have the baggage of the whole case. They're able to look at everything with kind of a fresh set of eyes. But no, if anybody was, I hope no one bet the rent that I was going to be leaving, because I ain't going nowhere.
Well, I hope
still lead on this.
I hope T. Greg never bets the rent because he's bankrupt. Okay. What I think we should do. By the way,
I mean, well, real quick. So I mean, you pay attention to this stuff. As I said, I don't look at Twitter very often, and I damn sure don't look at those law Twitter idiots. What they were gleefully predicting millions of dollars, right? I mean,
it really spun the gambit. Spanned the gambit. Is it spun or spanned? Is that even a verb?
I don't think spun is related to span as a verb, so
it doesn't matter. It covered a wide range. Many of them were predicting early on, especially, a million.
I think before the hearing and after the hearing. That's your inflection point, right?
We had
pre-hearing.
Yeah, we had some people.
Was anybody saying they'll only get a couple 100,000? I mean,
Oh no, the speculation was $1 million plus. There may have been a 2.3 million figure tossed out by Lemoyne at some point.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different predictions, and I think Doucette actually deleted his original predictions. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Oh, really?
Throw shade. They might just be hard to find, but
I suspect he strikes me as the kind of lying scumbag that would memory hole anything bad he did. Well, my guess is
I just don't know how he'd find it to do it. Maybe he's got them obsessively logged or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure right now they're all by tomorrow they will have always been at war with East Asia. And we'll be talking about how that their original prediction of 150,000 was obviously too low, and the court really stuck it to us. But whatever.
Yeah, I fully expect that thing. For the record, I will. I was incorrect in my thoughts. My thoughts were because I'm a pessimist. I believed that. That Chup would award them basically everything they asked for. Now, I hadn't figured in that they would go in front of Chup and do things like bring Vic out, attempt to bully him, really just hammer home the fact that he has brought this lawsuit in good faith, and that his life and career were destroyed by people he trusted through lies. I didn't think they would do that, so I thought Chup would go ahead and award them the whole thing.
Yeah, and see, it would have been self-serving if we had to bring that out on direct. That's the thing, right?
Right.
We would have called him, but it would not have been as effective.
Right.
No.
And that's the problem. That, like, you did this, you thought this is a good, okay. Now we give it more weight against you because you chose to do it.
Well, objectively, it's ridiculous to assert that these lawsuits were frivolous. I'm just saying, when you've got literally hundreds of written statements that can be pointed to that have been authenticated by them. I mean, you may think that we failed to meet the technical burden required of the TCPA, and that's fine. But to say that as a matter of equity that it was unreasonable and irrational to bring this suit is crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a hard sell. I think it was highly, highly optimistic to think that you could fly that past a judge, particularly when you got the guy who's actually been hurt on the stand testifying, that's saying, hey, because I mean, in this day and age, everyone can empathize with being falsely accused of something and seeing his whole life ruined because of a false allegation.
Because anybody with half a mind, especially someone employed by someone else, or maybe in a public position of being an elected official, for example, can certainly identify with the damage that a false accusation could do. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can identify with that false accusation, and someone who's an elected official with some sort of authority over other people, maybe like a magistrate or something, or
a judge,
right? They might be able to look at this and go, even if there's some truth to this, I don't know that the truth is ever as clear as is on social media. And this stuff had to, these people have been dancing on his grave for 10 months. And now they're going to come in and ask him to pay them for destroying his career. You might, I don't know if this is true, but you might want to consider that that's a possibility in your calculation. Yeah. But
well, trying to argue that this was an attempt to silence them when they have been doing nothing but popping off. I mean, that's again, this is just my opinion. I don't like to make arguments that insult the intelligence of the court. And opinions vary. Sometimes those work. That's just not my style. I would have been. I would have been. First of all, I wouldn't have been rolling the dice real hard on sanctions. I'd have told my clients all along, sanctions are a crapshoot. If we get them, great, but we're not going to count on them. I would have worked hard to get my legal fees paid, get my billing records straight. There were plenty of anomalies and odd things in those bills. I don't think they're going to be very successful getting that overturned at all.
No, it seems like it'd be
it's highly in the court's discretion, and B, there were some genuine technical issues with the stuff they submitted. But I think they just about have to try.
Well, they have to try and get more than they got, because they didn't get, unless they're lying. This is the important thing. Now, maybe Funimation has budgeted and absorbed the cost, but Lemoyne, Rial, and Toye, unless Lemoyne is lying about actually pursuing the fees he charged, and unless he has informed his senior partners of the lie, he has a duty to his firm to go after the $280,000. So I guess the remaining $230,000 of that bill. And he said under oath that he would. Now, will he go after it? Maybe he, here's the real thing. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely bill them the $280,000. Okay, that's a truthful statement. He sends them the bill. They call back and they say, there's no way we can pay this. And they settle out on some other amount that's less than that. That's the reality of what would probably happen. But he's still going to have to justify whatever red ink is there between that amount and the other amount to the senior partner. So he's got to go as far as he can. And he could get to a point where he's suing his own client. And that's always a terrible place to be. It makes you look like a real prick.
Well, it does. And of course, you open yourself up to complaints from the client, too, about your representation.
Right. Especially when a lot of that representation was watching YouTube videos, for example.
Well, and again, I'm not gloating or anything, because this could happen to anybody. It's always the danger of, you always ask for your attorney's fees to be paid, but I've always been extremely careful with clients. Say, hey, what the court awards and what you've incurred are two completely different things, and they're not really very related. Because it certainly seems possible to me that a client would reasonably say, well, if the judge doesn't think that you deserved any more than this, why should I pay you any more than this?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
there's a difference between attorney's fees and reasonable attorney's fees.
Yeah.
And what a court finds reasonable is based on any number of factors. And you, at the end of the day, if you hired a $500, $650 an hour attorney to do the same work or not even as good a work as a $250 an hour attorney, maybe the $250 an hour attorney was the reasonable one and the $500 an hour one wasn't. And that's
it creates an interesting conundrum for somebody claiming to be an expert. Claiming to be an expert does justify a higher hourly rate, but it also implies you should get the work done faster than a non-expert.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting double-edged sword, and I think Chuck brought this up at the hearing.
Yeah.
Why are you doing so much research if you're an expert? Why are you, more appropriately, why are you billing so much time for research if you're an expert?
Yeah, the court was very skeptical of that.
Right, a new attorney who's in a new practice area who fully discloses to the client that this is a new practice area that will require extra amounts of time and effort to make sure they are fully versed on the subject, they can actually justify a reasonable research expense that's a little higher than you would expect. And they do that because maybe you really like that attorney, maybe they're your attorney for other matters and it's easier than finding somebody else. Maybe you think they're really good and would be fine, they just haven't actually practiced here before. Any number of things.
I don't bill for that. I never have. And because I've always felt like that the client hires us to know our job. And I mean, I don't go to my doctor and him say, well, Ty, I don't know anything about gout or whatever. So I'm going to have to read some medical textbooks and I'll have to bill you for that.
Yeah.
To me, learning a new practice area is part of the investment I'm required to make in my education. And so we just don't do that. I mean, now there's a difference between learning a new area and researching issues that are not covered by the statute.
Right.
I mean, you got to read cases, and sometimes it gets a little fuzzy when trying to explain to clients that, reading cases is sort of almost like chemical experiments and
oh God, it takes a very long time. That is a huge time sink to do a review of the cases, is to sit there and go through these 60-page decisions.
And cases don't generally lend themselves well. You can't just take a summary read. In other words, just because it says in a book somewhere, this case said blah, 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 you have an obligation to go read that case and make certain that's what it says. So, applying the cases to the law and all that, there's a substantial gray area, sure. But I just think in general, the court was just not, they weren't buying that it should have cost as much as they said it would cost.
Right.
Plus, like I said, there were some serious technical, criticisms that we made that were valid about the type of billing, the way the billing was done.
Right. And I haven't even had time to go through those. Because they came right before the hearing, and then the hearing news happened, and then this has happened on the new week's beginning. So I'll be looking at those and seeing if we can maybe pare them down.
Yeah, another thing, and again, I'm not piling on. I'm really just trying to kind of clinically assess this. Another thing that probably wasn't the best move was at the end of the hearing, the Wick Phillips appeals partner really, in my opinion, crossed over into being just downright nasty to the judge. He was yelling and that kind of thing. I don't think that ever is a good idea. Now, I've probably done it myself, but typically when I've done it, it was because I've been under extreme personal attack by the court myself, not just because I didn't think I was going to get paid. I think that probably was unwise. I don't think that helped their case at all. But by and large, here's the thing, if you're going to take testimony from a guy like Vic, you'd better be very, very careful, because he's a sympathetic figure. And oh yeah, by the way, he didn't do it.
Yep. You hold on one second. You glitched out describing what the Wick Phillips appeals partner He yelled at the judge at the end of the hearing.
Yeah, I would say that was a reasonable characterization. He certainly had a very elevated, loud voice. And to the point that the court, I can't remember exactly what the judge said, but it was something to the effect of, "Yeah, I heard you the first time," or something like that. I mean, it wasn't a very constructive interaction there at the end.
Yeah, it's not the best plan when you're asking the court to give you something to yell at them.
No,
especially before they haven't given it to you.
Well, I think probably and I'm speculating, but my guess is that felt like it had not gone well for them at all, and they were genuinely concerned with getting a haircut. I don't think they did anything to improve their chances of not getting a haircut by that move. But again, that's just my opinion. You
know how I know they didn't think that the hearing went well? They were absolutely silent about it. They were not.
No cackling, no gloating, no nothing. Yeah. Well, I mean, there wasn't much. If I were them, it would have been hard for me to come out of that hearing with a good feeling and a good takeaway, because they just weren't able to convince the court of the things they needed to convince them of.
Right.
And
okay, so we've got you for right around 30 minutes still. And,
good Lord, if we burn through an hour, God, we go on and on, don't we?
It goes fast. This is the problem with your mouth mic there, is that you gotta be careful with your glasses.
My reading glass. Well, yeah. I was actually going to have the orange earbuds hanging down, and I simply forgot. But
is Lemoyne on the
spray painted orange or something?
Did the court order Lemoyne onto a treadmill to power your internet or something? It's really slow today.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's choppy. There's no troubleshooting this. It's just we only have 30 minutes. What we should do now is we should do
because I actually had not new internet, but I mean I had the internet put in. Yeah, I'm connected up to the good.
Yeah,
the good thing.
Sometimes
it's this microphone.
I don't know if it's that, or if it's maybe someone's turned on a faucet, or maybe the hamster died in the wheel.
Yeah, could be.
Who knows? Is your wood burning stove powering the steam engine running your internet working right now? I mean, do you run out?
One of the vacuum tubes went out. Okay, that's probably what it is.
Let's go through the super chat.
Now your video is fuzzing out. Yeah, there's
your video is fuzzing out. My video is perfect.
Oh yeah, of course. But no, I agree. Something's wrong with our internet. If it gets really bad, I can always reset and come back on.
Well, let's just go through the super chats and we'll see. I can tell when your internet's fuzzing out too badly, because it gets my computer's just relaying what I hear anyway. So if it gets too bad, I'll let you know. But okay, first, Legal Smeagol says, not fair, it isn't fair. My precious clients wants it, they needs it. Vic stole it from a sneaky little tie. Freighter J says, this free super chat will be spent saying penis. Thank you. Cody, thank you for the donations. West Nile, and he says, take it all. Oh, I bet you tell that to all the girls. West Nile Chan says, breaking news, local litigious lungless lemon lawyer in coma after hyperventilating himself into a coma following ruling in a related case. His last words were, how can I buy con sluts now? How can I buy con sluts now? Film at 11.
I was wondering when I was going to hear it.
The Sacred Ointment says, J. Sean No Money has left the chat. JMH016 says, free super chat for you. Ethan Amante, thank you for the donation. JMH016 sent another one with repeat, thank you. RM was here, says, lemon, now how am I going to pay for con sluts? Ethan Amante, thank you. JMH016 says, 2 more to go. Then he says, and this is the last one of the 4 free super chats I have to give. Oh, thank you. Now you have 0 chats left to give. Think of it that way. Dirty69 says, Lemoyne Snicket's a series of unbillable events.
Ouch.
Ryan Mercado says, in Lemois voice, is this all? How am I going to pay for con sluts now? Where's Nikki with my share of the GoFundMe? Also, Nikki and Ty, where's my share of the GoFundMe? Wes Nile Chan says, an update of Jay Sean No Money's condition. Due to lack of funds, No Money has been taken off of the iron lung and placed on a ventilator powered by his client, Miss Rial's, queefs. Co-defendant Markey will take shifts in solidarity. Dear Christ, that's disgusting.
Dude,
Finfrog says,
Rekieta my whole life without hearing that.
Finfrog says, Rekieta law on time. No, I was late. More like Boar Ragnarok. Gruber says, how badly do you think this will hurt the other side when it comes to appeals? Do you think the appeals court will see Chupp's decision and side with Vic? Well, one interesting thing that the appeals court will have to consider is that the other side put a lot of stuff on the record that was questionably in the record before and is definitely in the record now. Now, whether or not they will see it. In fact, just today, prior to the ruling, Lemoyne filed a supplemental brief and included in it a chart. And in that chart is a bunch of stuff from the first amended petition that would be considered evidence that was probably not considered by the court at the hearing. So it was already in there. It's from the first amended petition. But they just reinforced the fact that it was in there for the appeals court. And the appeals court will be faced with the arguments of, well, no, you shouldn't consider what we added to the record. And you definitely shouldn't consider what we added to the record after we won as an argument. And Vic's side saying, why shouldn't we consider what they put on the record? This is about finding a meritorious case, not about finding a technical way out of a meritorious case.
Yeah, I mean, we're when you see our appeal brief, you'll see that we're going to be arguing it. We're going to start by saying, here's all the evidence, but even if you exclude all of our evidence, we can still meet the prima facie elements, we think, with what they've attached to their pleadings.
Right.
And response and so forth.
And they're going to have to argue that those aren't part of the record for some reason.
Yeah.
Tough play.
It's a tough place for somebody to be because it gives the appeals court a perfect out. The appeals court can say, you know what, we don't even need to reach whether or not the Second Amendment petition, let's say, should have been considered or not. Because even with just what was there, they still, it still makes it. So no, I'll have to admit I'm totally mystified as to the just staggering amount of evidence that they unnecessarily included in their stuff.
Yes, they're just adding to a record. Well, I think they were padding a bill. That was their gambit.
I think I'd have found a better way to pad a bill. Ridiculously redundant pleadings or something,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is your glasses line hung on your mic boom?
You know what? It probably is.
Yeah, if you could fix that. Every time you move, it's okay. Much better.
Let's just do this.
There's no way this is gonna happen. Oh, rats! I was gonna watch you get tangled up like crazy.
No, I'm a professional. I'm not gonna let that happen ever again. Tonight.
Okay. All right, RZEQDW says, if I get caught driving 110 mile per hour in Minnesota, how badly will I need a lawyer? Pretty badly.
Pretty bad, yeah.
Also, do you know any criminal defense lawyers in Minnesota? I do. I don't need it yet, but I want to be prepared. Disavow that statement. You don't. It's my ethical obligation to tell you to drive only the speed limit and no or less. That's it. Tiny Kitsune 038. I got pulled over for speeding yesterday, by the way.
Really? Did you talk your way out of it?
Well, the same way I talk my way out of everything. I just answer no to literally everything they ask.
But did you shut the f up? That's the.
Yes, I said no, oh, no.
Am I being tamed?
Yeah,
Am I free to go?
No, I didn't say any of that stuff. But I did receive a verbal warning. I found it very interesting. The officer was like, "Look, I clocked you going a little fast before the split to the four-way or to the four lane, and I got you going 72 and a 60." And I said, "Huh." Or whatever like that. And then he's like, so I just want to let you know, you weren't quite at the 4 lane yet. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, the 4 lane is 65. I was still speeding. but I didn't say anything like that, obviously, because all you say is no, or you can maybe go, huh, or oh, or something, like an acknowledgement of I heard you. But other than that, don't. And they did let me off with a verbal warning.
I must remind these younger cops of their dad or something, because I've talked my way out of an improbable number of tickets over the last 10 years. Just, oh shucks, I didn't know what I was doing, and which there's actually a whole lot of truth to that. Most of the time I didn't know. I was like, no sir, I didn't. Whoops.
Yeah, that's actually a very good answer though. Do you know how fast you're going? No. For
really
one,
don't.
You don't. Even if you're staring at your speedometer, it's wrong. And you don't know how fast you're going. 2, it's not a crime to not know how fast you're going.
Well, no, it's like, well, you were going, da-da-da and da-da-da, and you go, oh man, really? Not, how dare you accuse me of such a scandalous thing. I was like, oh God, I can't believe I was doing that. And anyway, works for me,
Okay, so the Tiny Kitsune 038 says, Ty, can you stage a coup on the late and gay Nick? Just take over the show?
I think we've already established beyond any rational doubt that I have no control over you whatsoever. So,
well, no, I think they were just saying to take over the show since I was late starting it.
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Guys,
you're a pro. I'm an amateur. I stay in my wheelhouse.
Gruber says, as soon as I saw the decision today, I just couldn't wait for this stream. Reek says, Rekieta law, it ain't hate, it's called debate. Dragon Fist 900 says, hey Nick, planning on a Vic update vid once the semester's up, giving my thoughts on the depots and other things, currently getting the script together. Do you and Ty need prayer for anything? Oh, just getting through my average day.
Always use prayer.
Yeah, it's always appreciated in my life.
Just say, please let him make reasonably good decisions. But anything else you think you might want to throw in, lose some weight, grow some hair, whatever works.
RZEQDW says, P.S. in Texas, the answer is nah, you're fine. You were going 110? Goodness gracious, buddy. Infinity says, is that a real headset, Ty? The boomer is learning. Brings a tear to my
eye. No, someone sent it to me as a gift. If you look on Twitter, you'll see the general wearing the headset.
What brand headset is that? Is it a HyperX?
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a HyperX. I can see it when you turn there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Whatever it is, yeah.
That's what I'm wearing, except without the mic, because I have like a real one.
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder. Perhaps I should go back to the Yeti mic.
You sound actually just fine.
Do I? Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't criticizing your mic. I was merely, and it's actually nice because if you tap on your table with the headset on, we don't hear it. But when you tap on your table with the Yeti mic, it sounds like the apocalypse.
Okay. All these things you got to know to do this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Infinity says, Cynic and Chief says, this Rekieta Law live stream is sponsored by Off Deep Woods. Our 25% DEET spray will protect your right to free and clear speech. Use Off Deep Woods before going outside or into a courtroom. The DCV...
I'm going to say one thing right here. Our side's just a hell of a lot funnier. Aren't they?
Oh, that has long been proven to be true.
Yeah.
Cynic, the DCV Titan says, hey, I'm finally catching a Thai stream. 1, happy belated birthday, you boomer.
Thank you.
2, I recall you mentioning you like the Civilization games. Have you heard of Warhammer 40k Gladius? It plays like a 40k skinned Civilization game. That is true.
Ooh. No, I have not.
It's one of the few 40k games I have not purchased because I don't like the Civilization combat scheme. It's very basic and stack oriented, and I don't like that. I like a more look at all my stupid units coming at you and moving in different ways.
Yeah. Well, Civilization is definitely from a board game style philosophy. I can see that.
Yeah, so that's just my personal thing. I know a lot of people like it, and I shouldn't sell it down. It's not like Civilization where they stack all the units in one tile and burn through one at a time. They actually do have. You can move them out. It's just not as tactical as an RTS.
What you'd like is for it to blow up and give you a full tactical.
Yeah, I want the real time strategy fight on the tactical board game map.
There was a spiffy fantasy computer game from like the prehistoric age, and the graphics are utterly horrible. But if you could ever find it's abandoned, where it's called Sword of Aragon. It was a superb game. Can't believe no one's ever updated it and brought it into the 21st century. But it had a big fantasy map, and you're trying to reunite this empire. You raise armies and troops, and you equip them, and you have heroes you hire and all this kind of crap. But when you would have a battle, it would zoom up to a full blown tactical battlefield, and you'd lay your units out, your formations, and all that, and just a slick game. As I said, it's abandonware. If you ever find it, it's worth playing.
Yeah. Also, what I just described is exactly Warhammer Dawn of War Dark Crusade. The Dark Crusade expansion it's a tactical board game map, and then each space is a real-time strategy map that you play out in real time, and it's fantastic. The Roger X3 says, "Oh my God, Nick, it's 5:11 and I'm late and gay, but if I don't tell you, you'll never know. Cunning like a fox. Hi all. Hey. Welcome, buddy." Some nobody says they're in a different time zone. 5:11 a.m. for them. Some nobody says more like dead tweeting because nobody can hear it. Oh, dead tweeting. That's Lemoyne tweeting in his hug box. Leo Zaro 45 HD says, "Ty and Nick, what do you feel was one of the more ridiculous or stupid things to come from the whole case so far?" I mean, just the way. Well, law Twitter. No, law Twitter is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. A bunch of
I never thought I'd see trained professionals who might actually be dumber than Shane.
Ouch! Oh, somebody call the bar and tell them to admit some new law students because a bunch of people just got killed.
It's harsh but fair. Well, I think I'd agree too. The idea that random cranks on the internet who happen to have law degrees have any competence whatsoever to judge a case they're not involved with is kind of humorous. I mean,
hey.
Okay, fair enough. Just wonder if you're going to catch that.
Hush your mouth. You hush your mouth.
Shut your damn mouth. Well, but the thing is, Nick, all kidding aside, you at least will actually read the pleadings. It's crystal clear from some of the crap you've sent me that they don't even bother to read the pleadings. They just simply talk.
Yeah.
This is what I think should happen.
And it's worse than it's more than reading the pleadings. It's reading the room. And that's something that I'm actually genuinely concerned for most of these guys' practices because they don't seem to be able to read people. No. And, if you legitimately, if you have autism and want to be a lawyer, that's not impossible. But one of the things you need to realize is that if your autism is of the stripe,
probably hang out do a lot more transactional than.
Or partner yourself with people who can check your assessments. And I mean that legitimately. And I don't just mean that for legit autisms either. I mean it for people who generally have trouble reading or empathizing or sympathizing with people, or divorcing themselves from their own biases.
We see this in this case right now, right? I'm sorry, no objective person can say that Vic doesn't come off as a genuine and sympathetic figure. He just does.
Right.
If it makes you feel any better, say that he, tell yourself that he's lying and that he's tricking everybody. He's not, but if that makes you sleep better, that's fine. But objectively, he is a sympathetic figure, and you go at sympathetic figures a lot differently in the courtroom than you would a jerk. And I see way too many times litigators have a one-size-fits-all mentality where they go after every witness as though he's a lying sack of crap that's lied. It's already lied about everything, and that's very off-putting. Judges, generally speaking, don't like it. Juries hate it. Okay, fine. You beat somebody up and makes your client feel good for a few minutes, but if that negatively affects the case later, that's it's a pretty expensive luxury.
Dallas Morning News must have found out that they were no longer going to get paid. That was a joke. They haven't covered the hearing or the ruling.
Isn't that interesting?
I mean, you'd think if you were an interested party, the ruling has been
an unbiased party.
Well, even an interested biased party that was just independently interested.
I suspect that reporter got chewed on by her editor, and that's why her reporting on this very round was at least borderline rationally unbiased. I mean, it was still biased in their favor, but it's a lot nicer to us than anything she'd done up to that point. No, I think she's an ideologue.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Yeah, well, that's funny because the results have been out for a while.
Considering that everything else has been breathlessly reported.
Come on now, no bad tie, bad.
Okay, I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, consider that everything else has been reported instantaneously and immediately. I don't know how you spend this. If I'm the other side with all the grandstanding and all the boasting and everything they've done, I don't know how you spend this. I guess you fall back on the classic age-old, well, the judge got it wrong, and stuff, and that's fine. Maybe you did.
Well, it's going to be hard. I mean, they've spent.
I'll take even money bets from anybody though against them getting that overturned. I just don't think the odds are with them on that.
Yeah. Okay, I need to get through a lot of these.
Yeah. Shoot.
Okay. Funny gay. Wait. Yeah. Sakaki Onsai says, "Good evening, Ty. I have one request. Can you send a message to counselors Martinez and Sue and your staff saying thank you? Also, does album-oriented rock of the late 2000s pique your fancy? You'd love it."
It probably would if I knew anything about it.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I stopped listening to new music in 1989, so unless it's something that I hear on a TV show or something.
All I listen to now is gangster rap, and y'all are gonna get a little rap song when Ty leaves. Funny guy says, "Good luck, Ty, and put this into the rainy day fund." Super Mega Boy says, "Good luck, Vic and Ty. Give them hell. God bless." Silent Sin says, "Back to work. Enjoy, Nick." Tiny Kitsune says, "So do you have to pay them now or after appeal?" After and when they make their effort to collect. Cesario JPN says, and they have to make an effort to do so. Cesario JPN says, "Why do I have this feeling that Funimation and Rooster Teeth won't be around come 2020? Those parent companies trimming the fat, they will find reasons and ways to justify the cuts. AT&T I can see with Rooster Teeth, but Sony?"
Did Rooster Teeth ever get around to firing that executive?
I heard they did, but I can't confirm it. I just haven't had time to look for an article or anything confirming it.
Thing either.
Yeah, it's.
Well, they obviously need to implement far more sensitivity training.
Right. What they should have done is armed him with a remote. King Dangaling says, "Hey Ty, currently living in Virginia but looking at moving to Texas. Is there any cities that you recommend?"
I like little old Tyler, Texas. I like Fort Worth, actually. If you're a liberal, Austin is a liberal mecca. It's actually a gulag, but they don't know it. We keep it so nice down there. We'll keep them there.
They trick you in with Franklin's barbecue and ramen.
Yep. San Antonio is nice.
San Antonio's great.
Yeah.
Houston is a dumpster, but I love it. It's my favorite dumpster.
Houston is so raw, right? There's no zoning in Houston. So, yeah, I mean, Houston is just its own thing. The Dallas Metroplex is a nice place.
My daycare was next to a liquor store and a strip club. I mean, what? Yeah, how much better can it get?
I was gonna say, yeah. I actually enjoyed Midland when I went out there for the first time a while back. Out in the desert in the middle. When it's summertime, believe it or not, when it's summertime, the desert is a lot nicer than East Texas because the nights are cool.
Yeah.
Here it's so humid, the nights are just about as hot as the day.
Yeah, and Houston's worse.
That will be something you'll need to get accustomed to. Is you'll have a different level of appreciation for heat
and air conditioning.
Yes.
Remote start is beautiful. Infanity says, "So it sounds like even on an appeal loss, according to Disease Lemon's number, Real and Soy Boy will owe 160 to 180K. Lol, get woke, go broke." Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to pay that.
So if they did the work, you got to pay for it.
Either the law firm's going to eat it or the clients are going to pay it. There's,
Pooh Zerker says, "Footballs are unpredictable when spiked and they can easily bounce right back into your mosquito depleted nuts. Godspeed, gents." Scott Perez says, just throwing my free super chat your way. Think I get these free ones from YouTube Red. Third one. And last one I have. Enjoy YouTube's money. Hey, thank you. And yes, you do get them from YouTube Red. King Dangling says in Lemon Boy's voice, I think we should appeal. I need more money for my con sluts. Jordan Ewing says, hey, YouTube donos. Number 2 and number 3. Thank you, buddy. Fatal System Air says, way late to the party. Ty, great job and nice headset.
Thank you.
Richmeister84 says, is Ty cosplaying Al Borland from Home Improvement?
Oh.
BTL.
I was outside looking at the sighting for Christmas lights. I think I'm going to hire people to do those, though.
How are you wearing a flannel in Texas? I don't care if it is snowing. I would be in a Speedo. Good Lord.
It's comfortable.
Comfortable?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't get off me, man.
BTL Video Production says, I may have missed this because I just joined the stream, but where are we at in the Vic case? As soon as Ty's gone, I'm going to recap all of this. Last I heard, it was going to appeals with hopefully all the evidence to prove defamation, tampering with contracts. King Dangling says, do either of you have any thoughts on the new Star Trek movie itself to come out? No. Although you have some thoughts on a very important Star Trek figure.
I do.
Yeah, haven't you heard of the great Star Trek producer, Emmett Plant?
Didn't he do an affidavit in our case or something?
Yeah. He's Emmett Initiative on Twitter.
Oh yeah, somebody sent me. He was unkind to me today.
Was he unkind to you?
He's a Star Trek producer, really?
Well, no.
Oh. What does he do? I mean,
I don't know. Something like, I think he produces audiobooks or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would explain some of the hostility then. Emmett, if you're listening and watching, and I know you are, you're never going to be Vic.
Oh.
And have you noticed, Nick, how it seems seemingly every purportedly male critic of Vic's looks like Duchette. The only real difference is some of them have this wispy kind of effete cuck-like beard thing happening. No, they all do. I'm not kidding. Look at them. You could put them like in a lineup, and you would be able to tell them apart. Emmett was I think crashed my. I didn't see it. Somebody texted it to me, but anyway, apparently there was some snarking over the headsets. As I'm wont to do, I tweeted out a thank you for the kind gentleman that gave me the headsets, and there was some snarky thing. Yo, Emmett. I know your girlfriend wants you to be Vic, but you're just going to have to find a way to get past that because you'll never be him. Never, ever, ever.
He's very important, though. That's what I've heard from him.
And let's face it, only one person really can do almost as good a job as Shatner did as Captain Kirk, and it's not you. It's
me. That's the spoiler alert. It was me the whole time. He's not talking about Vic. Sammy Jenkins says, I had never heard of Vic before this trial. Now I'm a Vic fan for life because he fought this with dignity and grace. Thanks, Ty and Nick, for voicing this. Hey, thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Siren Jag says, Monica was poised until she tried to act like she was breaking down and crying. That was a failure on the level of Hillary's Depends. The Dark... or Leaky Pat Leahy's. The Dark Knight says, Old Chup had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm he had a Moronica, E-I-E-I-O, with a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Old Chup had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Vic is winning.
You should make it clear to anybody watching that you're required to read these. If you
that was a super money. Chat. That was.
They gave you money. You had no choice. You had to read it.
And I wouldn't suggest that Vic is winning. I wouldn't suggest. But here's the thing.
No.
Today was not a win for Vic. It's never a win when the other side is being awarded attorney's fees, and we've been pretty clear on that. But it's definitely a loss for the other side.
Well, it's the old Churchill thing, right? It may not. It's not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it might be the end of the beginning. Yeah. We can at least now get to the actual fighting of the appeal without the distraction of, oh my God, you're gonna owe millions. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Sure. King Dangling says, I hope both of you have a great Thanksgiving. God bless you and God bless Vic. I have 2 turkeys now, Ty. What up?
Ooh,
they're both fresh. I don't buy frozen turkeys. Bad Vibe says, Ty, please say I don't think so, Tim, and may victory favor the bold.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah,
and may victory favor the bold.
Okay, do it one more time because I interrupted you. Sorry.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah, I think that's it. Whatever. Today is a good day. Please let Vic know we are behind him. This isn't just for him. This is also for due process. And please don't let this ruling stand. Thanks. D-Man Dog 56 says, Nick/Ty, beer of choice to kick back? Corona Miller? I never kick back with a beer. I just don't like it.
You and your chat.
You and your what? MGD or Bud Light or something?
I like Budweiser. I like Coors Light. I like, yeah. Well, man of simple taste. I thought we had that figured out by now.
The Big Red Bear says, Ty, I bet Hong Kong on you leaving. The PRC is going to kill me for losing this one. But genuinely, why would you leave? Even if you were leaving, it's likely your firm would still be involved. Dumb people be dumb.
I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. No, I hate to break their hearts, but I've been lead on this thing from the beginning, and I'm going to be lead from here on out.
And I think it's just a lie. You've been fired and you don't want to tell anybody. That's what really happened.
Nah, you caught me.
PGN White Knight says, so why do you want to love a universal remote like Lemoyne and his lawyer fees? Aww. Jason of the Great Awakening says, any thoughts and predictions on the results of QAnon linking to a CBS News propaganda piece decrying pedogate, spygate conspiracy theorists? The result is, I don't think there will be one. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. So Steven says, YouTube says I got to give you free super chats, so enjoy. Oh, thank you, YouTube. Wise sage advice. Sergeant McSalty says, Ty, if you like to recruit other lawyers, I know one who practices out of Smith County who'd be interested to work with you. How about that coffee?
Oh, actually, I gave my assistant instructions to give you a call.
Okay.
Try to set that coffee up. So
Perfect.
Answer your phone.
Twisted Puppet says, Lemoyne literally charged his clients for obsessively watching your streams and reading your Twitter before it got nuked from orbit. That's the saddest part of this story. That's the real death, is my Twitter. My poor Twitter is dead.
Well, you won't get to spend 5 or 6 hours a day yelling at people on the internet. However, do you suffer such a fate? My intern is almost gone, and the intern account will be returned to Rekieta Law and will be rebranded to Rekieta Media, and will be run by someone at Rekieta Media. Maybe me, maybe someone else. We'll see. But yeah.
That will be happening before too long. Unfortunately, it's about time. PGN White Knight says Ty's internet connection is wheezing. Steven says thanks for being a good, decent person, Nick. Well, don't accuse me of too many things here. I've got a reputation to uphold. Fatal System Error says, I still have a few freebies here. Well, I'll take them. PGN White Knight says, Ty is making LimeWire look reliable. LimeWire is not Lemoyne, by the way.
No. I know what LimeWire is.
Okay. Your internet was really bad for a little bit, but it's better now.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that, guys. I even had new repeater thingies installed in my house so that we could do this.
PGN White Knight says, Nick, you're using Real Player to stream this. Yeah, and guys, don't be too concerned for my my intern. I bought a 55-gallon drum. She'll be fine. She's going to a nice, cozy place. Mr. Ruby Elf says, starting a new GoFundMe for a new mic with internet on it for Ty. Thanks for all that you guys do. And I do
have batteries. That's the only thing. I mean,
I do hope to meet you guys soon at a con. Hey, the next con I plan on attending is GaryCon. So if you're looking to see
and I'm gonna make a real strong effort to be at GaryCon too.
I think that'll be a good time. So if you want to meet me at a con, I think that's the next temporal con that I'll be able to get.
I got me a new role playing game thingy.
Oh, what's
that?
One
of the great things about 2019, I've come out of the closet. This right here is Down Darker Trails. Okay.
Oh, it's a Call of Cthulhu.
It is. It's Cthulhu in the Wild West.
Did you see there's a huge Cthulhu game that just got funded on Kickstarter to the tune of $2 million?
Oh my God.
My cousin,
board game or
my wife's cousin's husband bought it. Yeah, it's a board game.
Interesting.
He got it, and we were over at their place today. I was barely there, and I was barely conscious because I only got like an hour of sleep. But they were unboxing it, and then they played through the first playthrough of it, and seemed pretty crazy. Like, it comes with minis. They have like minis of Haster, who shall not be named. They have minis
Oh my
of
goodness.
Yogg-Sothoth and all of this stuff. And you summon Cthulhu and the whole thing. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, Cthulhu has been consistently just the highest quality role-playing game product since it came out in 1981.
Well, this is not a Call of Cthulhu branded game. It's a Cthulhu mythos themed board game.
Yeah, I
but
guess
it's
now that
massive.
Oliver Lovecraft's books and stuff are now in the public domain, I guess anybody can have a Cthulhu thing. So,
let's see. I'm just making fun of you. Just a second. In the chat.
What have I done?
Next. Nathan Ashcraft says, how long will the appeals process take? I mean, it could be 4 to 6 months. It's allegedly an expedited or accelerated process. But
it could go longer than that. But I think the Fort Worth Court of Appeals has a pretty good record for moving stuff through quickly. So
we'll see. But expect 6 months at least, and hope to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Good advice.
PG and White Knight says, hey, Nick, upgrade to Prodigy or CompuServe to broadcast. Even dial-up is more reliable than this. It's not me. I've got the good connection. It's Ty.
Yeah, it's all my fault. Yeah, let's see here. My friend, I think it's about time for me to bail.
Can I, I've got about 6 $20 plus ones left.
Well, yeah, of course.
So let's do those.
The money must flow. The chill must flow.
Well, I've been characteristically reading all of them.
Okay.
And so I'm going to switch to the 20 plus policy just so you can get out of here in a reasonable time. The Texan 83 says, some explanation of how, if anyone petitions for reconsideration and nothing changes, Vic will have to pay more money. I will talk about that. That seems ripe for abuse by the horse-tooth tag and her half-lung lemon Fuhrer. Yes. Tim Wen says, Ty, this is a very important question. If you don't answer this properly, I will commit honorable Sudoku. Is it okay to be a reverse cuck? I'm asking for a friend. P.S. What happened to that Akiva guy? I do have your response to the Akiva Cohen thing, but is it okay to be a reverse cuck, which I think makes you the bull?
I want no part of any of that.
I think even Drexel might suggest that no, it's not really okay to be the reverse. Reverse cuck.
Yeah, that's just no.
But you do you, fam. PGN White Knight says Texas is the only state where you can do 120 on I-45 and still get passed by a cop. Yellow Jacket SA says, about to drive down to Rockwall for Thanksgiving. I hope you and Ty have a good Thanksgiving too. Thanks for making me laugh. My pleasure, buddy. And have a good drive. Be safe. Okay, Indeed. And then finally, 3 more. Concerned Citizen says, Nick and Ty, the SJWs are trying to racially segregate convention events now. I sent you an email with the details. I'd like to see if you have anything to say about possible liability that a con may expose them to by violating the Civil Rights Act. Well, typically it'd be the state's the state Civil Rights or Human Rights Act that would have a prohibition against public accommodations engaging in segregation by race. And a lot of those events are held at city-owned properties, and they'd be running into a big trouble doing that.
Is that really a thing, though?
People are pushing for it. Yeah, people push for this stuff all the time. Whether or not they get it is a different question.
I thought we got all that resolved in the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to have, but now they want to go back. They want to racially segregate. That's what I'm saying. These people are asking for
there's
racial
no
segregation.
Satisfying these clowns, is there? It really doesn't matter what you do. They're going to,
Yeah. Chad Manning says, does Mr. Beard's glasses have full charge? Well, they're not. Are you sure? Well, you didn't wear them very much today, so they probably are still doing okay. Yeah. And then finally, Felipe Mouve says, hey, Nick and Ty, Gratz, can you appeal the fees ruling? We, the I Stand With Vic crowd, need to level up the GoFundMe so it covers every fee. Go Vic and Ty. And when Ty leaves,
the GoFundMe money will not be used to pay those suckers a dime, regardless. That's not what it was set up for, and it would not be used for that.
And the judge can't order that.
No.
And the appeals court can't order that either. And Lemoyne he's so stupid he doesn't understand how the GoFundMe even works.
He apparently not, because he kept trying to insist that Vic had some control over the GoFundMe when of course Vic has no control over it. So so if that would be obvious from GoFundMe's terms of services, that's a hint to the other side. Read the terms of services. It's really quite enlightening.
And the other thing, of course, will be as soon as the hearing transcript is available, we'll be going through it to see exactly what happened at the hearing and get the textual look at it. So, all right, man. Well, why don't I let you go?
All right. I've got to run. I've got a long, glorious day tomorrow. I like to say that every day at Beard and Harris is like a day on the farm.
Well, at
every
least
meal
it's not
a banquet, every paycheck a fortune.
It's like a day on the farms with a lot less N words.
Yeah.
The Kiwi like farms, that is.
Once again to the stream, thank you guys for all your kindness. Appreciate y'all. I always like coming on the show, but we're not. Oh, I want to make one thing clear. Just so I tweeted out yesterday a kind of a snarky thing that with the shirt that shows you as the puppet master, Nick. I had said there will be consequences for this, and of course some concerned trolls tried to turn that into I was angry at the guys that did the shirt. I think that shirt is brilliant, and I think they're incredibly talented, and I'm ordering me one immediately. So no, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
now there will be consequences to you, Nick, but that's different.
Yeah, but I control those consequences, so I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, apparently so. So yeah,
it's all in the grift,
baby.
An
Inception thing we got going there, isn't it?
Griftception.
Anyway, it's great talking to you. You have a good rest of the evening. I'm going to go to bed now.
All right, man. You have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, that was that's some hot headphones. Now I got the red ears. Thank you all for hanging out with Mr. Ty Beard. Let me get the ruling pulled up here. So I have said and promised a couple things that are going to happen. We're going to go through. I said I'd recap everything, and I will. And we're also going to go through the ruling itself. We're gonna slog through it. It's 5 pages. It's not very long. It has specific numbers. We will talk about what those numbers mean. We will answer your questions on it. We being me, just me though. I'm sorry if you wanted more than me. I only have one me to give. But we will be answering any questions that you come up with and want to send in. I will try and answer. The Akiva Cohen thing, I've got Ty's response to the Texas bar complaint. That's not addressing Akiva Cohen. I mean, he got a copy of it, but any further action Ty takes upon Akiva has not occurred yet, and I don't know when or if it actually will. That's up to Ty. If that happens, I will of course cover it. For the meanwhile, I think Ty is probably focused more on Vic's case and some other big transactions that he has going on that are eating up real hours, and not let's play lawyer games hours. This is where people actually make a living, as opposed to slap fights online. And I say slap fights with really all of the love that can come for other attorneys and how they approach these things. I don't want to minimize the gravity of someone filing an ethics complaint. It really is a real tangible event. But at the same time, there's getting paid to be a lawyer, and then there's being a lawyer on Twitter. They're very different things. Get a haircut, hippie. I want one badly, and I need an hour of time to get into town and get one. And I'm gonna shield the GoFundMe, don't worry. And I was drinking a Balmore 15 Darkest. So here is the GoFundMe we have now. Now that Ty is off, Again, I've had a policy of not promoting the GoFundMe while Ty is on the show, specifically for the reason of, even though I think there's nothing ethically wrong with it, I knew the other side would try to make a big deal out of it. And they still tried to make a big deal out of it. The hardest part for them was they could never, ever show that Ty was on stream when we promoted the GoFundMe. So they had to kind of lie about it. That's what they do. Here we go. Here's the GoFundMe. $263,377. Thank you to Joseph Cole, J. Sean Nomany. That's a real name, GoFundMe. Please realize that. Jordan, I know it looks like a joke name, but it's a coincidence. It's a real name. Jordan Logan, Robert Palco, John Sargent, and Anonymous. Those are the most recent donations here. So thank you all for your contributions. All of them are wonderful. None of them will go to the defendants. Hey, Lemoyne. Lemoyne, listen here. And Mark the Cripple Whipple, and Alan Rawls. Not a dime of the GoFundMe's gonna go to you, you dumb piles of trash. You can't make a judge give money that he doesn't have jurisdiction over to you. You could try, but he doesn't have jurisdiction over GoFundMe. He doesn't have jurisdiction over the account the GoFundMe money goes to. Can't get it. Never. Ever. And not only that, he ignored your bitch ass complaining, you pussies. They have money and we don't. My clients can't pay me, but I'm working way too much. Oh my God, you spent so much time. You spent your clients' money on fighting for the GoFundMe and you fucking lost, you embarrassing pile of AIDS. Ha! It can't get better than that. Monica and Ron have paid to watch this show. They paid to go after a GoFundMe. Not only did they not get it, did your retarded lawyer not tell you that you couldn't possibly get the money because GoFundMe doesn't even have it and the judge can't order it? Or maybe he lied to you, or maybe he's too stupid to know the truth. You can't get it. You can't get it, you cucks. It would be fraud on GoFundMe's part to turn it over. You can't get it, and you paid thousands of dollars for this moron to bleat on about it to a bunch of people who don't care. They don't care at all, and you can't touch it. And you paid a fortune for it. You paid a fortune for it. And then you paid that moron to watch this show. You embarrassing idiots. Oh, I hope it was worth it. I hope it was worth it. You didn't get anywhere near what you owe unless you're all lying. Of course, I assume you're all lying because you're scum. You're absolute trash people. All of you, the whole lot of you, are garbage, except maybe Andrea Perez. Maybe. I don't even know. Maybe she's not garbage, but the rest of you, trash tier idiots who wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars. Literally over $200,000 you wasted going after a GoFundMe and spending your time on me instead of serving your clients. Monica, Ron's transcriber, the bull who y'all are paying to watch all this. Listen close, you idiots. If you're not fucking filing a malpractice suit against your moronic, half-lunged idiot that you hired, or the morons who hired him and charged you $270,000, I thought you'd be out 50 grand. Like, let's be real. At the beginning of this, go back and look. It's like just fighting the lawsuit. Even if you get it dismissed early, it's going to be like 50 grand. That's what I said. You're now on the hook for $220,000 at a minimum if we consider the award, or no, sorry, bad math. I did the $50K, $170,000 that you're on the hook for. I told you couldn't afford it. You got $170K just lying around, right? That's just walking around money at the Texas State Fair or whatever. You owe it to Lemoyne now. You owe it to the guy, and guess what? He could have run this entire defense. I hope you are paying attention. Look at what Sam Johnson did. He ran a better, more competent, less publicly embarrassing defense of maybe a more publicly embarrassing client for 50 grand. You paid allegedly $280, which means you're still on the hook for at least, what, $180? Oh boy, that was a bad move. And him paying to watch this stuff, him paying to look at that GoFundMe every day. He tweeted about that GoFundMe every day. You think that wasn't billed? He may not have written it down. You think that wasn't billed? What did you pay $280,000 for, you morons? You went to Burger King and got charged $600 for a Whopper, you idiots. If you're not filing a malpractice suit against that guy, your loss. He's definitely on your side, though. Definitely. He didn't get wrapped up in the image game. He didn't sink your money into fighting for his image. Not at all. No, not a chance did that happen. You keep telling yourself that Lemoyne didn't spend 6 figures of your money fighting for his and his firm's image. And losing. Y'all paid for that. Y'all paid for Wick Phillips's marketing. You gonna stand for that? I hope not. I don't think you're good people. I think you're genuinely terrible, actually. I think what you have done to Vic is disgusting, and you deserve whatever retribution comes your way, short of physical violence. You guys do not deserve to be harassed, assaulted, or violence in any way. None of that. I just mean as far as career fallout. I mean as far as your personal emotional roller coaster that you have to go through a lawsuit. I think you deserve every minute of that because I think you're awful people. I don't condone harassment. I've never once suggested people harass you, and I have not brought the people who have harassed you onto my show. Even when they emailed me with video showing you guys looking like idiots and how they were bothering you, I didn't give them the time of day. You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome. I've never, ever, ever supported harassment despite you lying about me, you fucking pieces of garbage. I've never once supported it. That said, everything else you get, everything in your personal realm where you lose work because people are like, I don't want to work with someone who might cause me to lose my job, or I don't want someone who brings all that controversy. Own it. That's yours, and you deserve it. You deserve every lost dollar. Everyone, because you suck. You suck. And you're liars. You lied about Vic. You've lied about me for 10 months. You are trash. You are lying garbage. And you deserve every bad thing that comes to you short of someone else hurting you. You don't deserve that because no one does. And that's the only reason. But despite all of that, you guys shouldn't be on the hook for your lawyer's bad behavior. And right now you are. And if you're not consulting someone else to figure out what, even if it's Casey Eric, to figure out what the F you do about that dumpster fire that is Jay Sean Lemoyne, if you're not consulting them, you're an idiot. Take some free, friendly advice, not legal advice at all. Consult someone about that billing before you write a check. Because that lungless wonder Remember, Ron, I know you were really mad, and I know Reset Era and Pretty Ugly Little Liars were all upset about my comment about you getting bent over and fisted. You know who ended up bending you over and fisting you? Jay Sean. Jay Sean. I would have defended you for like $20,000. Think on that. I would have done all of this stuff for free because it's funny. Jay Sean should have done that for free. And he didn't. He billed you for it. He billed you to look into how he could possibly depose me, the stupidest decision he could make. A first-year attorney, not a fourth year even, could have told him that was a waste of time and money. I'm in a different jurisdiction. I'm acting as a journalist clearly under any journalism shield law, especially Minnesota's. But who ended up really ruining you is Jay Sean. If you're not, and there is no snark in this, because it's my ethical obligation to suggest you should probably talk to a lawyer about that. A disinterested party. Because his billing, oh my God, what a joke he filed. And if he either lied under oath to the judge, which I fully expect him to lie under oath about the billing, or he raked you guys over the coals in a hilarious fashion. But you don't deserve that. You're bad people and you don't deserve that. I would be talking to someone about it. We're not $263,392. Thank you to Can't Touch This, Miles Roast, Joseph Cole. Thank you guys for donating. We'll check in on this periodically. That being said, I had to get that off my chest. And I've been composing a rap song. Are you guys familiar with the urban phenomenon called rap? It's new to me. Apparently, young aspiring entrepreneurs get together and they talk quickly in rhythm and syncopation to achieve a desired effect for the purpose of earning money. This is rap, as it's been described to me. I don't know if that's actually true. But I've been composing a rap. Have you guys ever heard the song Lay Low? Lay Low, featuring Nate Dogg? So you'll have to forgive me for this. I mean, you don't have to, but I'll ask you to, because I'm going to briefly remix part of the Lay Low chorus just for you. Let's see. Let me get my much cooler, sexier voice on. For Lemoyne who be twitching, coughing, wheezing and shit, he getting paid low. For the toy who chopping up... Wait, no. Damn it! I'm too white! Hold on. I forgot my words. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do a fresh take. Okay. For Lemoyne who be wheezing, coughing, twitching and shit, he getting paid low. For the toy who be chopping dogs up while hitting his chick. That's it. For the toy who be chopping dogs up while hitting his chick, he getting paid low. Oh, terrible. I know it's cringe and I know it's terrible, but you're watching the show and I'm withholding the information for my self-gratification. We get Drexel Q to do it. That's racist. How dare you? How dare you? Oh no. I was working on the Funimation verse, but then I fell asleep. Anyway, so we've got Listen. White guys can't jump or rap or jump into the rap game. I better drink my Mexico favored whiskey. Needs a clean take for clips. No. Not a chance. Maybe someone can be inspired by the words who has more talent, and they can go ahead and do a better rendition. Don't quit my day job. I already did. I did a long time ago. F. Yeah, we get Myron Records to help. Oh my goodness. All right. Dr. Drex and Slim Nick. Nickers with attitude. Oh my goodness. You guys are great. You guys are great. Full wig law. Feel free, by the way, to comment my rap name in the comments. If you want to drop rap names in the comments, go ahead and hit it. Hit it hard. And I will take every ounce of punishment I deserve for punishing you. Snoop Lawry Law. Okay, here we go. Here's the document. Let's get to this document. Because it's getting late already. It's already 1. Final judgment says on October 4th, 2019, the court entered an order granting defendants Funimation Production LLC's motion to dismiss under TCPA, Monica Rial and Ron Toye's motion to dismiss under TCPA, and Jamie Markey's motion to dismiss under TCPA. Dismissing this action against defendants with prejudice. The dismissal order. In the dismissal order, the court retained jurisdiction in order to rule on an award of attorney's fees, costs, and other expenses incurred in defending this action and an appropriate sanction pursuant to Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, Section 27.009. On November 4th, 2019, defendant Funimation Productions LLC, Funimation, filed its motion for reasonable attorney's fees, costs, and sanctions, the Funimation motion. On November 4th, 2019, defendants Monica Rial and Ronald Toye, filed their brief in support of sanctions and attorney's fees pursuant to TCPA, the Rial and Toye motion. On November 4th, 2019, defendant Jamie Markey filed her motion to determine sanctions and attorney's fees, the Markey motion, and together with the Funimation motion, the Rial and Toye motion, the motions for fees. This is a final judgment. PGN White Knight says DJ Crested Ibis. Oh no. I heard if you add DJ before your name, you get stupider. That was a Dimitri Martin bit. On November 21st, 2019, the court commenced the hearing on motions for fees. So the court, having reviewed the applicable law, pleadings in this action, the evidence of the parties, and the arguments of counsel, finds that defendants herein should be awarded attorney's fees and sanctions in this action, that a final judgment should be entered in this action. As provided by Section 27.009 of the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, the court makes the following findings. So, importantly, the court is required to award attorney's fees and sanctions. It is required to award attorney's fees and sanctions, reasonable attorney's fees in the interest of justice, and sanctions sufficient to deter similar lawsuits or similar actions by the plaintiff. Okay? So, those are two distinct things. It means that attorney's fees must be both reasonable and in the interest of justice. So reasonable attorney's fees is not the attorney's fees you paid. I mentioned this while Ty was on earlier. A reasonable attorney's fee is what is reasonably expected to fight the TCPA motion. That's it. That's it. It does not mean how much you paid to fight the whole case. It does not mean how much you even paid to fight the motion. If you hire a specialist who costs more, but the court determines that that specialist was maybe overvalued or not necessary, say because another co-defendant did it for much, much cheaper and did it more capably, then you don't necessarily get everything you asked for or everything that you paid. Reasonable attorney's fees puts this squarely in the court's discretion. And then in the interest of justice, puts it even further in the court's discretion because they could determine that the reasonable attorney's fees that are in the interest of justice are almost zero. Like if you've got a massive corporation or a small town person filing a suit against a massive corporation and it's not vexatious, but they just don't have the evidence for it, then maybe it's not right to award attorney's fees again, or significant or substantial or even total attorney's fees against someone who has no capacity to pay, and it will ruin their life. That's not in the interest of justice. If they can show they genuinely thought they were wrong, but maybe just didn't bring enough evidence, and they're not a huge income earner, and they're going against a multi-$100-million corporation, well, sure. Like let's say an employee gets fired from a company. They post a bad review of the company, and then the company posts a bad blurb about them. It says they were terrorizing people and doing all this stuff. Well, that person could file suit, not be able to prove that the company was acting in the necessarily with in the nature of defamation, and still not have brought the suit frivolously. And then it's not fair if the company paid huge downtown Dallas lawyers $600 an hour to go in and spend $100,000 fighting this person, then further compound their lack of employment with a $100,000 bill. That's not just. It's not justice, and courts have a lot of latitude to determine that type of stuff. So that's on the fees. The sanctions, of course, are whatever the trial court determines to be necessary to deter bad action. Well, if the court doesn't find the lawsuit to be that bad, then those sanctions are low, for example. Or if the court determines that the person is unlikely already to file another suit, those sanctions are low. Or if they determine that the attorney's fees are a sufficient deterrent, then those sanctions are low. And they have the discretion to do so. And that is backed up by all sorts of cases. My point in this is it's going to be very, very hard for the defendants to argue upwards on sanctions especially, and fees as well. It's going to be very, very hard for them to do so. Random Blaze says, Mike and Greg are passing around that the way the fee ruling is worded, that Vic owes another $142,000 for the early appeal filed. They can pass that around all they want. According to them, that early appeal isn't valid. So they have mutually exclusive positions. According to them, the early appeal is dismissible. Lemoyne filed to dismiss it. Doesn't even count. So that $142K is nothing. But here's the thing. There's a good argument against contingent appellate fees. One, they don't know how much the appeals is going to cost. Could cost more, could cost less. Two, the fees always have to be reasonable, and not having any evidence on the record as to what the appellate fees will be is patently deficient in finding reasonableness. And three, the appeals court doesn't have to honor the trial court's decision on what those are. Greg and Mike Dunford are stupid. I don't know how else to say it. They've shown over and over again that they're dumb. They're propagandists. They're morons. They're mad at me, and they've translated that into something else. And I don't know how to fix them, because you can't fix bankrupt and you can't fix soy. You can't do it. You can't do it. Remember, never mind. I was going to be rude to Mike Dunford. And for once, I will not be as rude as I was going to be. You're a terrible person. Also, you have no idea how any of this works either, you weirdo academic lawyer. The Dark Knight says, hey, Lemonhead, save your breath. You'll probably need to blow up your next date. Rekieta Law, please link the Wikipedia for burn medical centers and states for Kick Vic. Oh my gosh. All right, back to it. The court makes the following findings. Reasonable and necessary attorney's fees. Fees to Funimation. Funimation shall have and recover from plaintiff Victor Mignogna the amount of $50,000 representing Funimation's reasonable and necessary attorney's fees, plus the amount of $75,004 representing Funimation's litigation expenses in defense of this matter through November 21st, 2019. So that's going to include the deposition transcripts. It's going to include the transcripts of all the hearings, anything that they had to buy, courier fees, stuff like that. Funimation shall also have and recover from plaintiff Victor Mignogna the following reasonable and necessary appellate attorney's fees in the event plaintiff files a notice of appeal. So I think they should actually argue that the judge can't retroactively award fees. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The plaintiff, the Court of Appeals is going to look at it either way. But I think they have a good argument that the judge can't retroactively order them to fees for something already done. You can't do a contingent ruling based on something that already occurred. So there's a real legal argument here, if we want to get legalistic and be lawyers about this. If Doucette and Dunford are being honest, they would have to understand that the plaintiff is in the position of saying, we have not, since the order, filed a notice of appeal. You can't, we have a constitution that says there shall be no bill of attainder, and typically we've upheld that to no retroactive applications of the law. This order says, in the event plaintiff files a notice of appeal. A notice of appeal was filed prior to this order, and the plaintiff would have a reasonable argument that they did not, since the filing of the of this order, of this final judgment, they did not file a notice of appeal. I mean, read the plain language of the text. Judge Chupp, and they can argue this, Judge Chupp knows that a notice of appeal has already been filed. So, they can make that argument. Now, will they win that argument? Open question. This is law. This is the problem with law Twitter. It's an open question, and it's ripe for an argument on this case. $50,000 in the event there's no modification of or change to the judgment, or the judgment is confirmed by the Court of Appeals, or affirmed by the Court of Appeals. So this is, if Vic appeals and loses, and this order is valid, Vic owes $50,000 more to Funimation. $25,000 in the event the petition for review is filed by any party and the result is that there's no modification of or change to the judgment. Wait, what? If the judgment is affirmed, oh, okay. So this is interesting. Let me reread this wording. In the event there is no modification of or change to the judgment, or the judgment is affirmed by the Court of Appeals. That's $50,000. In the event a petition for review is filed by any party. Oh, so that's if they see, and this should be struck immediately. Because this gives them the opportunity to file a petition for review and trigger their own fee award. Do you see what I'm saying here? So in this instance, of course, the plaintiff still has to file a notice of appeal. This is poorly written. If you were signing this contract, you should not sign it. Let's criticize Chupp for a second here, okay? Are you guys with me on this? So here's the necessary condition for this. The following reasonable and necessary appellate attorney's fees in the event that plaintiff files a notice of appeal. This is the triggering condition, is that the plaintiff has to file a notice of appeal. Now, in the event there's no modification of or change to the judgment, or the judgment is affirmed by the Court of Appeals, they get $50,000. Now, in the event a petition for review is filed by any party, but this is under the subheading, still following that the plaintiff is filing a notice of appeals. So you can read this two ways. Either it's invalid because it allows the filing party to trigger their own contingent fees, or this is only valid. This is a mitigating fee if the opposing party counterfiles. So if Vic files his notice of appeal and the opposing party counterfiles a notice of appeal, they've slashed their own, or any party, they've slashed the reward in half. This is a poorly written clause of this order. This makes no sense. Okay? So this is either And I would read the plain language still requires Vic to file the appeal, and that this is still predicated on Vic first filing the appeal, and then, as it's in a bullet list following that clause, would be subsequently them filing appeals slashing their own fee in half. Or even if Johnson filed an appeal, be slashing their fee in half. Which that seems wrong to me. And I don't think that this will hold up at all. Either way, this is very poorly drafted by Chup. $15,000 in the event the Texas Supreme Court requests briefs on the merits, and the result is that there is no modification of or change to the judgment. And so that's if you file to the Texas Supreme Court and they request briefs on the merits, so they accept cert. In the event the Texas Supreme Court sets the case for oral argument and through the conclusion of the case, and the result is that there's no modification of or change to judgment. So here's another problem. All these fees require, ignoring the bad drafting of Chup, all of these fees require no modification or the judgment being affirmed. And the reasonable reading of that is affirmed in full. Zero modification, not a dollar change in attorney's fees. Not a dollar can change to attorney's fees. So here's the weird thing. This is why this is a mess. The way this is written. Funimation appeals their attorney award. Okay, hypothetically. $50,000 is not enough. We deserve $170 like we asked. All right. The judge affirms his own fee. Or the Court of Appeals affirms the fees. That's either $50,000 or $25,000. We don't know. They get that. If the fees are affirmed and Funimation files and Vic files 50, I guess. If just Vic files 50, Funimation files, I guess, 25. If they win or lose, and the Court of Appeal says $1 more or $1 less, they don't get a dime of this $25,000. This is a weirdly, poorly drafted piece of legal writing. Chup, you should be embarrassed by this. Petition for review is filed by... Oh, you're saying the petition for review is filed to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court. Okay. Okay. I guess I see that. It should be petition for certiorari... Whatever. In the event a petition for review is filed by any party, I guess to the Texas Supreme Court. So then that's $25,000. But again, that's unconscionable. Why should one party filing... especially a party filing on their own, trigger all three parties getting this extra amount? It doesn't make sense. But, you know, my entire thoughts on this is that this is very poorly drafted in general. I don't think that this is a wise drafting, and I think they get to argue that they haven't filed a notice of appeal following a final order. Okay, next. Fees to Rial and Toye. Rial and Toye shall have and recover from plaintiff Victor Mañana the amount of $100,000. So we can see that each defendant is getting $50K as a cap, representing their attorney's fees plus the amount of $15,526.96, representing their litigation expenses in defense of this matter through November 21st, 2019. And again, all of these numbers are subject to review by the appeals court. Rial and Toye shall also have and recover the following reasonable and necessary as appellate attorney's fees. So $55,000 in the event there's no modification or change the judgment, or the judgment is affirmed by the Court of Appeals. So they only get $5,000 more for having two defendants here. $12,500 for a petition for review. So they take a cut on this one as opposed to Funimation of half, which is weird. Funimation gets twice as much as them. $22,500, so they take a cut, or they get a little bit more there, an extra $7,500. if the Supreme Court requests briefs, and then an additional $5,000 here. Chup is plugging in numbers that I would be curious to find his rationale for doing this, because I think it might be really interesting. But of course, we don't have it. PGN White Knight says, want to bet by the end of this, Lemoyne will have an affair with Shane or Grigsby. I mean, Lemoyne will be eating shoes since it'll be more affordable than ramen for him. Gross. Fees to Markey, $48,130. Now, Chup could be just indicating to us what he thinks is likely, but I don't know. $48,137.50. That's what they asked for, representing Markey's reasonable fees and necessary attorney fees, plus the amount of $1,873.96, representing Markey's litigation expense in defense of this matter through November 21st. Markey shall also have and recover from plaintiff Vic the same $37.5 if there's no modification or if it's affirmed by the Court of Appeals. $22.5 in the event of petition for review. See, this is further prejudicial to the plaintiff, and they should argue this provision is wholly ridiculous. Let's say Vic appeals and wins. Now the court has incentivized the defendants to file a Supreme Court petition, because apparently, if they file a Supreme Court petition, they're now incentivized by this award that they got. This is a really, really awkward part of the ruling. And again, contingent fees in general are weird, but this particular thing. If this is true and it means petition for review to the Supreme Court, this is a problem, because it incentivizes a petition to the Supreme Court for the defendants, who all get to suddenly collect extra money, even if the appeals court rules against them. And that binds the appeals court ruling. I don't know that the appeals court, unless the appeals court agrees with everything written in here and agrees in the judgment, this should probably get modified. $12.5 in the event the Texas Supreme Court requests briefs, and $10,000 they set the case for oral argument. Mandatory sanctions. Mandatory sanctions. What was Lemoyne requesting for sanctions? Let me pull that up. I just want to get a comparison here. Their motion for sanctions and fees. Pull this up. Moment. Here we go. Let's see. Sanctions. See their conclusion. Where is it? Do they even have a number on this? They might not have one. Okay, enter a sanction against plaintiff sufficient to determine the amount of chosen by the court, but between the range of $100,000 and $260,000. Okay, $100,000 to $260,000 is what Lemoyne demanded from a sanction from the court. What did he get? $5,000. Oh wait, Funimation got $5,000. What did Lemoyne get? Oh, $5,000. Not even double. Ouch. 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 So it is further ordered. Funimation, she'll get $5,000. Real and Toei, $5,000. Markey gets $5,000. All amounts awarded are final budget post-judgment interest at a rate of 5% per annum. All costs of court be taxed against plaintiff Victor Mignogna. All writs and process necessary for enforcement of collection of this judgment or the costs of court may issue as are necessary. All other relief requested not expressly granted herein is hereby denied. Judgment finally disposes of all parties and all claims and is appealable. There you go. That's the ruling. Does this signal that Vic actually has a case that is not frivolous? Yes. Yes, I think Chup knows that it's not frivolous. I think Chup said he doesn't think it was frivolous. It's a technical rule. The TCPA. It's a bad law. I'm telling you. The intentions behind it are noble. The implementation is poor. So that's it. Anybody saying Vic automatically owes money because of an already filed notice of appeal? That a notice of appeal was filed before the judgment. You don't necessarily get to retroactively apply it. Now, here's how that argument goes, okay? I'll just tell you, both sides. Both sides. Ty and company argue that they had filed a notice of appeal prior to this order, and that order cannot be binding on a previously filed event. They couldn't know what was going to come in the order. The contingent fees were not determined, and that the order was already filed, and that they have not filed a subsequent notice of appeal, and that the plain language of the ruling is a notice of appeal. And if the judge, who already knew a notice of appeal was filing, intended it to be retroactively applied to an existing notice of appeal, he would have said so. By the way, we have this discussion about the existing pending appeal on the record, and Mr. Martinez suggesting very explicitly that they would go ahead and pay the fee and not take down the notice of appeal that was already filed. That all happened in Chup's court. It's on the record. That's what they will argue. That would be the argument for it. There'd be a little more to it, but that would be the fleshed out argument. Judge Chup knew that a notice of appeal was already filed in this case. It's been filed in the case. It's been filed to the appeals court. A subsequent notice of appeal would need to be filed to trigger the award for the contingent attorney's fees, according to the plain language of the ruling. Since Judge Chup knew it, he could have easily drafted his order to say, a fee for this amount shall be applied if the plaintiff either files a notice of appeal or maintains his existing notice of appeal. Either one of those could have been drafted into this document and was not. That would be the argument. That would be the argument Ty and Vic would make. The defendants would make a different argument, okay? The defendants would make the argument that obviously that Rule 27 or whatever of the Texas Court Rules of Appellate Procedure means that a prematurely filed notice of appeal has an effective filing date of the moment after the judgment is filed. So they would argue that the judgment was filed and then the notice of appeal is, as a matter of law, filed the moment afterwards, meaning it is a subsequent filing, meaning it is subject to the order. And they would further suggest that they would argue in the alternative that in the event that the court considers only the previously filed notice of appeal, that the Court of Appeals must similarly recognize that if they're unwilling to apply the contingent fees that Chup ordered, that they must acknowledge that no further portion of the record can be included past the filing of the original notice of appeals, including filing the appeal or appealing the fee award. Okay, do you follow that? So Ty and company would argue that we've already filed the notice of appeal, and the judge's order is written in a way that cannot bind us to the order for an already filed appeal. And then the other side will argue that that appeal may have been already filed. We can obviously concede that. However, the effective filing date is the moment after the judgment, and therefore it should be considered. In the alternative, if it's not going to be considered, then we would argue that the notice of appeal is the cutoff date for any additions to the record, and nothing and the fees cannot be appealed, nor can any additions to the record be considered without a subsequent notice of appeal being filed. That would be the argument that both parties can make. Who wins on that? Anybody's guess. They're both good arguments. I don't know what the law says. I don't know what the courts would say on this matter. I don't know if there's any precedent to this. Both of those arguments would be strong arguments before the appeals court, and they may be novel. I don't know. They may be new arguments. I don't know. We're getting way deep into Texas appellate procedure, which is so far out of my scope. I have not researched this, and I'm going to try and find a case on those contingent fees in general. I don't know what's even out there, but we'll be looking at those over the next couple days. So we'll see. Okay, let's see here. But that's what the ruling says. That's what we've got. I think I've shared my thoughts on the issue in general. We do have a bunch of super chats to go through. Moment. All right, let's see where we left off. All right, we left off right here. We're going to do the remaining super chats. If you leave during super chats, thank you for watching tonight. I really appreciate it. I will be on Twitch playing Pathfinder Kingmaker. I've got a new if you did not catch the weekend stream, I caught up basically to where I was, and I actually passed where I was in my previous game. I switched and did a new build and a lower difficulty because I'm a chump. Which is too bad. The challenging difficulty was too much for a first playthrough. But I switched to doing a lower difficulty and a new build that is I realized my old build was bad. My new build is much more tailored to not dying constantly. So if you want to come hang out, come hang out. I'm going to have to make some food. So it'll be up in just a couple minutes. But it's a fun time. It's a fun time over on Twitch. We're going to read through the super chats. We're going to play the outro. If you have any more questions, feel free to send them in. But let's, if you do leave, thank you for hanging out tonight. Oh, and if you're one of the hate watchers, also, thank you. Make sure you click that dislike button. Make sure you click that dislike button, you pussy. Put it out there that you dislike it. And we'll all know that you're just butthurt over what happened. Click that dislike button. Love it. I love it. If you're a friend of the show and you like the content, click the like button, hit subscribe, hit share, all of that crap. You know the drill. I'm going to try and save that as much for the short videos as possible. All right, here we go. Nathan Ashcraft says, how long until the first appeal hearing? We don't know. That's up to the appeals court. As soon as it's scheduled, as soon as there's updates in the appeals, guys, you'll know from me. I will tell you. I will tell you. Mad Chris 2449 says, Mr. Beard, your accent sounds familiar. You from Louisiana? I think originally, yes, he is. Got a lot of relatives down there. Either way, always good to see you on stream again with some goodish news. Mr. James in Bloggington. The best part about today is that normally there's only one way to make an award for sanctions and attorney's fees good news, and that's to have the other side be so confident that they were going to get so much more and get absolutely reamed out. Reamed out like Riley Reid on BBC Night, baby. Taken straight to Struggle Snuggle Pound Town. We're the defendants on these fees. So let's get back here. Mr. James in Bloggington says, don't care if forced memes are lame. I want to get the nickname Metropile for Camelot 331 going since he comes off as a metrosexual version of Gomer Pyle. That's fantastic. Blaze DMT says, I got off with a warning for doing 73 and a 55. Attaboy. Always get off with warnings. I get off to every warning I get. Kidda says, a quick chat for Ty if it gets in time. Oh, sorry, he had to go. Frog God lawsuit all done. There is no Frog God lawsuit. There were joint statements by Frog God and BJ Hensley that were put out, and I believe, though I don't know, I believe that was a settlement of all of their disputes. Although, unrelated but slightly related, I heard BJ Hensley, the accuser of Bill Webb, I've got a whisper network, you know, may have been let go from, I think she was working for Paizo. BJ Hensley might have been let go from Paizo Games for unwelcome sexual advances of a male employee. Of course, I don't mean of course it's true. I mean, right? When you defame someone by making up a lie about unwelcome sexual advances, and then you get tossed for actually making unwelcome sexual advances, that's the sweetest nectar dripping out of irony's tongue. Oh my goodness. Am I too loud? Is my mic boomering? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't. Okay. I muted the mic, so I will calmly go forth and recoup what was missed. I have heard through the rumor mill, and I'm trying to confirm this. This is a rumor at this point. And if any of you have information on this, please let me know. BJ Hensley, the accuser of the CEO of Frog God Games, Bill Webb, may have been let go from her position at, I believe, Paizo, the creators of Pathfinder, ironically, not ironically, coincidentally, may have been let go from her position at Paizo because of unwelcome sexual advances towards a male coworker. Now, if that's true, it is the grandest of ironies, as of course she was defaming Bill Webb by suggesting he made unwelcome sexual advances, which are not true. So, one can only dream. A boy can only get so many Christmas presents. But from what I've heard, by the way, this is I'm investigating and researching. BJ Hensley is not the only employee of Paizo Games that is being let go recently for sexual misconduct. Paizo Games is a very woke gaming company. They're fully in support of the whammons and believing the victims. But it turns out the people who believe the victims may be victimizers. I don't know. Trying to get confirms on this stuff. One of them might have been a male feminist. Just maybe. Just maybe a male feminist was abusing someone else and got dismissed. I mean, I have no reason to believe that to be true, other than logic dictates that it's definitely true, other than that seems to happen every single time, other than hashtag reset the clock. But I'm trying to get confirms on this stuff from independent sources, and if I do, I will bring them to you. Okay, sorry. That was sparked by the Frog God comment. BTL Video Production says Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Mad Chris 2449 says, careful Ty, you might get sponsored as an epic gamer. Harbinger 345 says, I see Ty's new headset earlier and they're looking good. Or I saw Ty's new headset earlier and they're looking good. But as I expected, better tech does not improve the rest of the boomerang though. No, the boomerang is innate to Ty. He owns it. He owns it. Jason of the Great Awakening says, vaping cured my lifelong chronic asthma. Could it help Lemoyne with West Nile damage? Only if the lithium battery inside the vape cigarette blew up and Minecrafted him. Artorius Casta says the Godbeard has returned. Hello, sir. Hell to you as well, Nick. Question for Ty. Have you ever played Age of Empires or Age of Mythology? Ty is not a huge computer gamer. I don't think he has, but I'll ask him. Craig Litton says, hey guys, try the Battle for Westnoth computer game. Okay. Steven says, Kickfic laughs only come from the pain of others, Nick. That's because they lack joy and mirth. We talked about that a while ago. They lack joy. They lack mirth. DG and White Knight says, mind meeting up for lunch or dinner when I pass through Spicer, Minnesota? No, I don't mind at all. Email me, please. Depending on the date and time, I would love to meet up for lunch or dinner. Just please email me so I can, and do it as soon as possible with the schedule so that I can block off time for you. I got to meet a couple guys on a road trip the other day who happened to be coming through my town. They were going to just take a picture in front of my office, not realizing that I had moved my office to my house. But when I got a phone call saying they were there, I made arrangements to meet with them for evening drinks and appetizers. I love to meet people who come to town. Please just let me know, and I will do my best to make time for you. Austin Heartless says, the only RTS games I've played and enjoyed were Red Alert 2, Warcraft 2, and Warcraft 3. Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2. Two very different but very great games. Life of Sarcasm says, Vic comes over as more genuine than any of the others, be it alone over the facts that seems to have and show more empathy. Yep. Last Soul Eye says, I'm late. Do have money. Thank you. Bad Vibe says, Grigsby just updated the previous article. Oh, good. That's stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. Steven says, can they file anything for Grigsby using we and us? They can't file anything for it. But if I happen to find some evidence that conclusively shows she said we and us, I will personally send that along to the... Well, no, I will not. I will make it available and let people send it along to the whatchamacallit, the editor. That's up to them. Austin Kinkle says, Lemon Godfather voice. Chuck, you did disrespect me on the day of my lungs funeral. Will S says, free chat, did Ty ever play Ravenloft in D&D? I doubt it. He's too old for Ravenloft. Sergeant McSalty says, East Texas weather in a nutshell, unending swamp butt. Jared Chee says, just noticed I have some super chats too. Thanks for the work and entertainment, Nick and Ty. Hey, thanks, buddy. BTL Video Production says, Lemoyne, you got to be careful. His lungs may not last the full case. JM says, seems. Where do we go? Oh my goodness, where are we? Where are we? Oh my God. JM says, seems TCPA encourages people not to settle. Do you think the amount the defendants owe now is bigger than what they could have settled? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Vic said at deposition it wasn't about the money. It was about the reputation damage. An apology, a retraction from the defendants could have gone miles. To the point where I think there could have been a nominal amount, maybe even nothing. Listen, Vic had a GoFundMe paying his legal fees. If he could get, think about this. If you don't have to pay your legal fees and you can get repair for your reputation from apologies and retractions, would you require money? No, of course not. I mean, maybe you do if you think your reputation's been that badly damaged, but you guys know Vic. What do you think? I bet Vic would have taken almost no money, if any, at all, to settle this out. And just an apology. We took it too far. You know, we didn't mean to make out that Vic was some sort of danger to people. We just don't like him or whatever. Okay, fine. That could have resolved everything, I bet. We'll never know. They decided not to pursue it. Okay, I missed some bigger super chat. Says Reno Miles says, I love it when Nick gets loud. It brings me back to the NBA. I'm going to teach you how to spell duck stream. So commanding and stalwart, like an absolute alpha. Oh, thanks, buddy. Last Vandalier says, simultaneously clap and say, get woke, go broke, Moronica. There you go. Let's see. Now back to where we were. Jason, The Great Awakening says, I never really understood what it meant to be a man until I saw Shatner and Vic be the men I wanted to be. Now I do. And then you took an arrow to the knee. Devil of the Shield says, hey, boys, my first super chat. Hey, thank you. Just wanted to say y'all been doing an amazing job. I know everyone is super appreciative. Have a good Thanksgiving. Not a great Thanksgiving, only good. By the way, guys, I will be adding channel subscriptions, I think tomorrow, to tomorrow's stream. With some badges, and they're completely optional. Do not feel obligated. YouTube has given me the option. I will put it out there for people who want badges, and I'll talk about it tomorrow with the details. This is just like badges and emotes, and then value will be added later to higher tiers. I'll talk about it all tomorrow, not tonight. The Crowning Entertainment says, Vic kicks back, Nick kicks hacks. Lemon is probably hyperventilating into his Moronica Dakimakura and I can't stop smiling. William Nape says, we will not fight or flail. We will not flight or fail. We will fight on YouTube, on Reddit, and on Twitter. We will never surrender. Devil of the Shield said, something that I've been thinking is why hasn't Vic done any news interviews to get his firsthand account out there? Probably because he was waiting for a final ruling from the lower courts, which can use those types of news interviews against you. I don't know if we'll see something from Vic now, but if there is a time for him to do it, it's now. It's now. Justin Frazier says, kick Vic. Nikki's trust is worth zillions. Also kick Vic. He's just grifting for that sweet, sweet super chats. Yeah, guys, if I was a multi-millionaire, would I be sitting streaming on the internet, or would I just be driving my Lamborghini on my yacht? Rick1186 says, hey Nick, I sent you an email about a lawsuit in Australia. I saw it. I haven't read it through all the way, but I saw it. I will read through. Senpai's Home says, it's all in the grift, Nikki. Hashtag griftception. Hey, what's up, buddy? Infinity says, hey Nick, thanks for reading the under 20 chats so we could ask Tyler questions. For a bottom feeding degenerate lawyer shill, you're all right, buddy. I do try. The $20 limit is not, it's literally just to preserve the flow of the stream. Today, the flow of the stream was disrupted by Ty having to exit, and I was fully happy to do what I could to facilitate as much reading as possible during that. Steve Stevens says, pronounce that imposter correctly. Steffens. That's no Steve or Stevens. Mad Lad says, free super chats incoming. Nick, thank you for continuing to cover this. It has been refreshing to see someone who will not kowtow to the trash. Oh, I'll never kowtow to them. Remember, I have billions in a trust fund. M says, please come see Vic and Todd at SonoCon in Montgomery, Alabama, and like the Facebook page to show your support. A lot of us in Artist Alley appreciate it too. Oh my gosh, M, I didn't even know this is going on. So Vic and Todd are both going to be at SonoCon in Montgomery, Alabama. Will you please email me details? I will promote it personally. I'll promote it personally for you guys in Artist Alley to benefit from having desirable voice actors in the autograph line. Hopefully they will expand sales, and that will matriculate into sales for you. Jason of The Great Awakening. By the way, if you guys haven't been through an Artist Alley at an anime convention, you are missing out on real talent. Like legitimate. I thought that, listen, I am a bad weeb. I'm a bad con goer. And I thought when I first went to a convention, I was like, this is going to be garbage tier, like me drawing stick figures, Artist Alley, trash tier artists who can't get a break. Whatever. I'll go pay him some lip service and walk around, because what else am I going to do? I was wrong. These guys are amazing artists. And it goes to show that it's not about the talent. Like getting exposure, being very successful and widely recognized is not about the talent. It's about something else. It's a fortuitous confluence of exposure, of luck, and of connections. Those three things all coming together. Just like on YouTube. There are a bunch of YouTube creators who are wildly talented and just don't get the views because it's hard to get out there. Go check out an artist alley at a convention. Buy something from them. These guys are putting in real work, putting out real quality stuff. I gotta post pictures of. I have an artist hallway from Bubba Fest where I bought a bunch of. Was it Bubba Fest or was it Matsuri? Might have been a combination where I got a bunch of art. Oh, excuse me. I got a bunch of art from Artist Alley, like 15 pieces, and put it up in a hallway. Maybe I'll share some pictures on my community page. You guys can see. It's really top-notch stuff. I was a little surprised because I'm an elitist dick. It's not personal. It's me. DG and White Knight says, is it grifting when you turn down excessive donations because you want the project to be a community effort, not a small influencer effort? I don't know. Did I do that? Maybe I did that. Yes, it is grifting. It's always grifting. Okay, back to it. Jason, sorry, I got distracted there. Jason of the Great Awakening says, man, next level con slut money isn't going to be enough. No one important says, what Nick's rant sums up to, we don't have to do anything. Karma and yourselves will end you, and we don't have to lift a finger or speak a word. Andrew Young says, Ilhan Omar was recruited by a foreign government. I heard Qatar, right? Received funding from a foreign government and passed sensitive info to Iran. A Florida court has heard. Oh my God, what a disaster. I got to look that up and do a video on it. Leo Breaker 49 says, Nick, I'm begging you, please don't go Wigga. Oh, no. It was a bit for the show. Everything is a bit for the show. And while I may publicly humiliate myself, it is all for the chat who always wins. Justin Fraser says, favorite rant since the you can't afford it rant. Jimmy the Hand says, this is so badly cringe, I'm now kick Vic. Oh no, I'm sorry. Midian Dawn says, I love you, but please take this money to never rap again. I'm rapping twice now, baby. Gogger's Death Rattle says, stage name, MC Whitey Griffs a lot. That's good. Notorious Ree says, for ties, eyeglasses, battery fund, and some WD-40 for the vault door. Nice to finally see a small W. I hope they soon get bigger. Does Casey get anything? He's entitled to something, right? Mercules DGZ says, hi Nick, I liked your blackface Twitch stream last night. That was so weird. Guys, I put my computer to sleep. I went upstairs. I ate a bowl of ice cream. And somewhere in the middle of the ice cream, my computer came partially out of sleep mode, but was still locked. Started a Twitch stream with a blank camera. I have no idea. I have no idea how that's even possible. But it was great. I deleted it though, so because there was no content. There wasn't even a hot mic to catch me like, Lemoyning to a picture of hentai or something. Which is too bad. That would have been good. Rando number 9 says, sorry Nick, but Nick Fuentes owns the term knicker. Does Nick Fuentes own it? Okay. I own the term better at reproducing than Nick Fuentes. Pooh Zerker says, I don't know about your rap name, but make sure to collaborate with young Wheezy Lemoyne. Svenger McSpazzy says, Lemoyne, he been playing with a fish on a hook, and Toye, no money, dem wallet's been cooked. Been hating on an army of GoFundMe cash, but that lawyer, he ain't touching none of that stash. Beautiful. I can't rap it though. I've been contractually obligated to never rap again. Kilroy was here, says MC Rackets. Random Blaze. Oh, wait, no. Marcus Hollis says, someone in chat said your rap name should be Young Chalky. That's a good rap name. But it should be Y-U-N-G, not Y-O-U-N-G. Young Chalky. James Panzone says, in Nichols versus Bridges, 6th District Court of Appeals, if the record is silent to the amended pleading not being considered, and no surprise or prejudice, leave is presumed. Oh, no. No, of course. That would make sense. That would make sense. Nichols versus Bridges. Let me write that down. I'll go take a look. Nichols v. Bridges. Let's see. I'll get to your comment in a middle bit, Infinity. Let's see. Bad Vibe says rap name MC Lol, MC Lawyer on Liquor. Message redacted. Thank you. DCV Titan says, so am I hearing that Moron is on the hook for most of their fees? Unless Lemoyne is a liar. Now, maybe he's just a liar, but unless he's a liar, yes. Lawyer, liar, same thing. And still have to look forward to the appeal? Well, that's shameful. They do have to look forward to the appeal. And there's no guarantee that they'll get those appellate fees either, by the way. Like, just because the judge ordered it we went through this, doesn't mean that that order is valid. There's a very good argument against it. Also, the appeals court might just on its own determine that that's not part of the statute. Mario Carter 13 says, move over, Slick Rick. Here comes Slack Rackets. Exterminatus says, so wait, does Vic have to actually pay this? It's hard to say this the right way. Judgments are pieces of paper you can try to collect upon. In Texas, it's really hard to collect on a judgment, and it's even harder against someone who is self-employed. Can't say much more about it because it's not up to me, and I'm not Vic's lawyer. But if I were Vic's lawyer, because I'm a vindictive pile of garbage, I would definitely talk about strategies to avoid paying a single penny. I don't know what Vic is talking about with Ty. I really don't. You guys, not you guys, but the law Twitter people all think that I do. I don't know. But if I were Ty talking to Vic, I would absolutely say, we're going to work as hard as we can so that you never pay a dime to these scum. And there's a lot of protection in Texas for it. So, does Vic actually have to pay this? First of all, the short answer is not yet. The longer answer is maybe never. It's complicated. I hope that helps. Jordan Ewing says, check out the Astartes fan video when you got a chance. I need to cover this. Is the Astartes channel still hacked? The Astartes channel got hacked. The Astartes channel got hacked and taken. I don't know if they're still hacked. If they are, I need to cover this. The fan film is phenomenal. It's really cool. And it's a very good representation of what I expect Space Marines to be from the lore. One of the more faithful ones. Maybe even better than the Ultramarines movie. As far as representation goes. So check it out. But if it's still hacked, that's ridiculous. YouTube sucks for not getting on that. Jordan Ewing says, Humble Marty says, Lemoyne came demanding gold, won a pity prize. Jason of the Great Awakening says, now would be a good time for the defendants to make a deal, right? That's an interesting thing about Chupp's order. Chupp's order, doesn't it look kind of tailor-made to get them back to the mediation table? They could make a deal. They could be back at the mediation table. They could decide that they want to settle this out for less or more or whatever. Make some agreements. That's up to them. Bad Vibe says, the sanctions and contingent order is assumptive at best. It assumes the appeal court changes nothing, which is the biggest hurdle. Not great odds. Right. It's not literally $1 change. If they argued for an upward adjustment, we think we should have paid $1,000 and we agree to that, they eliminate those fees. Dumb. Comp Bro says, don't know why, but YouTube gave me 5 free $5 super chats. You're the only one to watch to take Susan's cash. You're going to pay me, Susan. Oh, man, I wish I could give it straight to Medicare. Bad Vibe says, when are we getting the other transcripts? As soon as they're out. As soon as they're out. They're not done yet. Dark Knight says Lemonhead needs some of Belle Delphine's bathwater. Nixx says, in the words of Fletcher Reed, settle. Ricky1186 says, I think you missed my other super chat. I don't think so. I'll double check in just a second. Robert H. Nick, quoting me, says, I'm rich, biatch. Cemetery Lady, my cemetery girl, says, are you going to talk about the Whiskey Warrior 556 RF in New York? That's the red flag raid, right? Yes. Not tonight, but yes. I've also got, hopefully this week, we will have Gothic Sushi on. A juicy tale about someone involved in all of this. I hope you guys like Gothic Sushi. We just got to work out timing. But we've got a juicy story for you. Infinity says, deleting Twitch footage in a dark room sounds like someone failed No Nut November and is hiding the evidence. Buddy, I failed No Nut November before it started. Man, the No Nut November is like the appeal, right? I prematurely defeated No Nut November straight out the gate back in October, baby. And then, they couldn't hold me. Rural says, you and Ty give lawyers a good name. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Asmodeus says, your stream starting randomly is super sketchy. You should change your stream key or whatever it's called and YouTube password just to be safe. I mean, it's weird for it to start, but it definitely started locally somehow. So, all right, let's read the rest of these chats from today. We've got Tinlay says, hi, Nick and Ty. I have two legal questions for you both. Is lolly a boomer? Yes. And is a woman smashing a lolly gay or pedo? Yes. Also, happy Thanksgiving early. I'll answer on behalf of Ty. Yeah, definitely. Don't do that. Where Tiger Ray says, is there any news on Anime Matsuri since they announced they were retained by BHBH? Nothing I've been told, so I have no idea. Beige Devil says, R.E. the Rial and her cuck, Mars Girl and Funimation, aka the liars, attorney's fees. If the law firms decide to write off the bill, does that count as debt forgiveness? They be on the hook for a tax liability for that. Tax man coming. They would. If you get I don't know if you guys know this, but if you get a debt forgiven, that's income. So yes, hilarious. I hadn't even thought of it. But yes. And shockingly, getting like $170,000 debt forgiven is a lot of debt forgiven. A lot of debt forgiven. And yes, if you have your debt forgiven, you need to talk to an accountant or a tax attorney, maybe both, about having that done. Including if you do those debt consolidations where they actually forgive portions of your debt. Depending on your income, depending on the amount forgiven, you may be on the hook for that. That's not a gift. That's money that you received. Especially because that's money that you received in consideration for doing something, which is paying a lower amount. They're giving up a right to that money. So, yeah, that's taxable. Whether or not it's taxed, whether or not they're audited, different question. Whether or not they report it, I mean, they're liars, so who knows? Jay says, Your Honor, Mein Kampf. I need that 280K or else Universal remote wielding Soye's gonna beat me, please. Your Honor, Soye raises remote and exclaims, am I going to have to slap a mosquito? Lemon from under his desk. Funimation, no! All right. Okay, guys. That's what I've got for YouTube tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and Ty. Hopefully we kept a tight and entertaining show for you, because we know you always like it tight. That being said, final shout out to the GoFundMe, which is at $263,392 still. You're welcome to look into that. I will keep you updated as appeals go on. But know one thing, this GoFundMe will never, ever reach the defendants. Never. And that's the best part of this story. No matter all of their bleeding, all of their idiocy, all of their whining, they will never get 1 penny of money donated to the GoFundMe. And that is the sweetest of honeysuckle. So there you go, guys. That's the show for today. Thank you for joining me. Let's get, oh shoot, gotta get this outro playing. Oh my goodness, it's loud. There we go. There we go. Hose mad? Hose always mad. Always mad. And the spin on Twitter is delicious. Let's remember, the most important. It's the most important. Oh, did you guys see this, by the way? Did you guys see my thumbnail? I'm sure my artist has put up a more professional thumbnail by now. Let's see if we can get that whole thing in the frame. But I hope you liked my thumbnail that I made prior to it getting updated. But let's get back. Where's that? Did I? Oh, I got rid of that Lemoyne tweet. Let's pull that up real quick. This is the most. Oh God. Is Lemoyne tweeting during the show? Look at Lemoyne's projection here. We got Lemoyne projection here really hard. This is gross. Now we know that Lemoyne is into his own mother. That's just nasty. Shane Holmberg says, I put my family in danger. It sounds like those who are threatening them are the ones doing that. You sound like a creepy stalker when you bring up my family. Shane doxed himself and then brought his wife into everything because he's such a disgusting weirdo. The guy has no respect for his wife. None. Talks about her blowjobs and stuff on Kiwi Farms. What a degenerate pile of garbage Shane is, and I feel sorry for her every day. Not just because he's ugly. Jay Sean says he's waiting for his hot mom to go to sleep so he can peek in on her. Misspells peek, so he resends peek. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, you disgusting projectionist? Ew. That was sent to me during the show. But here's what I was gonna get to. So Alan Rawls lamenting the fact that I was gonna have a show making fun of the tragic loss of money by Lemoyne and company today. And Lemoyne, what's his response? Don't do it. Just ignore it. Please, Mark Whipple, don't tell my friends that I fucked up. Please, Mark, please. I know there's 20 people on Twitter who care about this, but I really don't want them to know that I played myself like a stupid idiot. Please, Mark, please just ignore it. For the love of fucking God, please ignore it. I can't yell any louder because of the West Nile AIDS that I have. Please just ignore it.